Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your host, Christopher, aka the Bronze Age Nerd, coming at you live here on a Friday night. Hope everybody's having a good Friday. We have some people that popped in before the show, so we'll highlight that question right there. It's a good point. It's a good point. So I wonder why Rob Liefeld thinks that. Liefeld. We got X11 Bravo eating some popcorn, watching the show. Sonia and X11 Bravo asked the question. So if Miles Morales goes to Europe, is he kilometers Morales? I like that joke. That's a good, solid comic book dad joke. I'm always in need of those for my daughter, and just because I'm a goofy dad in general. So that's awesome. Thanks for being here, folks. Before we get into the drama, which I'm going to cover in my usual way, right? I'm going to cover it really evenly. I do want to talk about some other things that are important as people kind of filter into the show. One of them at the top of the show here, I want to talk about something that's pinned in the chat right now if you're watching on YouTube, and that is the GoFundMe for Jen, aka Comics Will Break Your Heart. So I met Jen at Rose City Comic Con. I was aware of the situation before I met her, and I really want to make sure that we can help this person out. So she is, fairly young and was diagnosed with a aggressive form of cancer. She's going through treatment right now. Hey, Frog Brawler, what's up? Thanks for being as part of the show. I also can probably take my little name badge off. 1 second. How do you do that? I forgot where that's at. Well, whatever. So anyways, down to the important stuff. This is the art we're going to give away later in the show. I'm going to do this near the end of the show. This is by Bigby McFly. He's a community member. He's a YouTuber himself. You can go check him out. And he did this cool, I think he told me it originally started out as Superman. You can kind of tell in the facial detail there. And it turned into Shazam. So really cool piece of art. It's on an 8.5 by 11. I'll ship it in, nice, with some nice cardboard to protect it. It's got a nice Mylar and a magazine backing board in it to keep it, displaying nicely. By the way, for another fundraiser we're going to be doing, he also did this, which is an awesome piece. This Hulk 340 homage. And that we're going to give away for Heroes. So, we're going to auction it off, right? So that is something you should be keeping your eyes peeled for as well. But the link to support Jen is in the chat pinned. It's also in the description down below. If you go and donate at least $10 right now, and then show me, hit me up through like Instagram or my Discord server. If you can send me proof that you donated $10, I will put you in. Right now, there's only 2 people that donated that wanted to be part of this. In other words, some other people donated, but they wanted to stay anonymous about it, and they didn't want to go in for the drawing, but they still wanted to support Jen. So we've raised more money for her than that might sound. But I think the average donation was like $20. But if you can do at least $10, or hell, if you don't want the drawing and you want to go donate $1, you should go do that. It's a really good cause. So that's what we're going to be doing near the end of the show. Also, for my channel members, for the month of September, if you are a channel member and you were in the month of September, you can join now, but you won't get access to these. We're going to give away some comic books. These are from Gamma Base Comics Group over on Facebook. This is a Moon Knight number 25. That's a 1 in 25 ratio variant. That is donated generously by them. And then we're going to give away this Venom 1 in 25. This is Venom 23. Another great cover. That'll also be one of the prizes that one of our channel members gets. And then I've had this for a couple months, and I cannot remember if this is a 1 in 50 or a 1 in 100. But that is an excellent, Amazing Fantasy 15 homage, obviously, for ASM 25. So I can't remember if it was a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100. But anyways, those are the prizes for the channel members. There's some great ratio comics there, and hopefully you all enjoy that. So we have a few topics to talk about tonight. The first topic that we're going to talk about is the Melinda's Comics, Coffin Comics situation. But we do need to talk about the Rob Liefeld and the Jim. Well, it's mostly Rob Liefeld. Jim Lee kind of gets brought into it tangentially. So we'll talk about that. And then there's a couple other things we're going to talk about too. We're going to do a little quick Hotshot Comics update. I don't have a ton of information about that, but there is going to be a small update there. And then there's also a comic label thing from CGC for New York Comic Con. We'll talk about that briefly as well. So first thing we need to talk about is this Melinda Comics versus Coffin Comics, topic. And then that's just kind of how I worded it for the purposes of the, hold on, I got one message here. Excellent. You're watching right now. I know you are. I don't know if you want me to tell people that you did that, and I don't know if you want to go in for the drawing. So let me know if you want the drawing or not, and then I'll tell people you donated and put your name on the list. But I appreciate your donation, so thank you very much for doing that. I'm going to assume you want in for the drawing right now, but if you tell me you want it just to be an anonymous donation, that's fine too, and I'll take your name off the list. So let me go to my little folder here with the screenshots that were sent to me. I'm a little hesitant to talk too much about Melinda's comics just because I don't know much about. Her name is Melinda Young. I know that, and I don't follow her Whatnot, which is she's a big seller on Whatnot. She's also written some comics. Okay, I'll keep you anonymous and I'll keep your name off the entry. But thank you very much for your donation. See, folks are donating, and I really appreciate that. That's going towards a great cause. So thank you very much for your donation. I sincerely appreciate that. Hey, the odds are getting better for the people that wanted to donate and have their name on the list, though. We've got a 50% chance right now of winning the art. I don't know. I don't know if she has an OnlyFans account. It wouldn't surprise me much based on the content. So the first thing I want to do is, and I'll make that a little bit bigger. That's what she said. I'll share this original post, and this is what I saw. I think Buddy was the first person that shared this with me. Channel member Buddy, thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate that. We want a window. We want that window, and I can probably make this look a little bit better. Oh no, there we go. Yes, that'll look a little bit better, I think. Okay, let's add that to the stage here. It's a little small. Let me see if I can help out with that a little bit. So sorry, Whatnot is that vertical format. So there's not a whole lot. I can probably make that even just a tiny bit bigger. I can at least show you the cover. But yeah, you can see up here. It's from Melinda's Comics. And Melinda's Comics, I don't know much about her. I've heard the name before for sure. But she is a very large seller on Whatnot. I think she has about 25,000 followers on Whatnot from when I looked earlier. The reason I know the name is because there's been some controversy before with Melinda's Comics, and that's why I don't really want to speak too much about it, because I'm not up on the details. I don't, unless I feel like I have a reason to cover it for the channel in like a full-length recorded video, I don't often deep dive on these drama things. But I'm in a lot of comic groups. A lot of people share information with me, and a lot of people have shared information with me about Melinda's Comics with this particular issue. So what we're looking at here is, I just realized I didn't get a water, and that's going to come out to bite me in the ass in a little bit because I'm going to need some. This is a cover for a comic book. I did not watch the live stream. I can't go back and view the live stream. And I checked her socials and her site, and I don't see any mention of it. I don't know if it's been scrubbed since then, but that's possible. That could have happened. But if you just looked at this, if you know Coffin Comics and if you know the character Lady Death, I think most people are going to look at this and go, "Oh, that's a Lady Death piece of art," and this is a comic book. I'm curious if Melinda's Comics advertised this as a Lady Death comic in the stream, or mentioned that it was a Lady Death cover or something like that, which does matter a little bit. But she did what a lot of Whatnot sellers do, which really pisses me off, by the way. It's just called comic number 33. I don't like that. Name your comics, by the way, you could say Lady Death cosplay, whatever the comic is. I don't know what the guts are. 1 of 50, you can add 50 quantity. That's really annoying. I don't like it when they do that. But what happened is this started going around, And somebody messaged Brian Pulido. Brian Pulido is the creator of Lady Death and Evil Ernie from back in the day. Used to be, he created Chaos Comics. That company was, unfortunately, he had a breaking up with that company. So, and it's a very sad story. He lost the rights to Evil Ernie, but he has the rights to Lady Death. And Lady Death means a lot to Brian Pulido. Yeah, we're going to get there. Don't worry, we're going to get there. So with the public stuff, I think I know everything. It's the behind the scenes stuff that I may not have all the information for. And that's why I don't want to talk too much about it, or even the backstory of some of these people. But with, it's a character that means a lot to him. He's lost it before. And so he wants to defend, his rights to his character that he's created that means a lot to him. It's a huge comic empire. Like, if you look at top comic Kickstarters of all time, Lady Death is like 2 or 3 spots, or maybe more, even maybe like 3 or 4 spots in the top 10. And in fact, I think the first 2 are like art books or collections of comics. And then the first like single issue comic is a Lady Death comic. So Lady Death is a big deal, and has a lot of fans. Yeah. So figure drawing, this is what I am alluding to, that I know that there is some connection with her in AI art. I'm aware of that. I don't know the details. So I'm glad you're sharing that. For myself, I cannot confirm or deny that. I've heard allegations of it, but I haven't seen the covers. I think Brian McClay covered it at one point, but I never tuned into that stream to see what it was about. So that's why I'm saying, like, I'm ignorant here. If I get anything details wrong, I'll try to correct it later. But yeah, there are a lot of concerns about her potentially using AI art. I don't know if that's been discovered. I don't know if she's admitted to it. Any of those kinds of things. I'm not privy to those details. So she put this out as a book. Again, I don't know what the internals of this comic are. And if you're not familiar with this, I'm going to remove that for a second because it's just so, so zoomed in. If you're not familiar with this, there's a huge market for cosplay covers, and cosplay covers can mean 2 different things. It can mean a real life human being in cosplay, and then it's a photo cover. And that's something that, like, you see Dynamite do that. And a lot, there's tons. Marvel has done cosplay covers. There's a lot of cosplay covers out there. But when I'm referring to cosplay covers and the purposes of this conversation, I am talking about the idea of taking, like, say, here's a really good example you may be familiar with. Hardly Thin, not Harley Quinn, Hardly Thin. There's a parody version of Harley Quinn, and people draw that character in different types of usually risque means. I think Marat Michaels created Hardly Thin. I could be off on that. And also there's just this kind of trend of taking a popular character, like an indie character, and dressing them up as another superhero. And that could be a cosplay cover as well. And then that actually, I think, is kind of more of what, in theory, this is supposed to be going for. Like, you could be saying, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit more. It's going to get a little blown out because it's not the greatest resolution. You could say, well, that's not Lady Death's actual costume. And although, I think that's debatable at this point. And so, like, imagine, like, let's say you had a character that wasn't white skinned. And by white skinned, I mean, like, Lady Death is porcelain white skin. And then she has white hair. Let's say you took a different colored person and you dress them up as Lady Death, and that could be a cosplay cover. Or you could take an existing character and dress them up as a different superhero, and you could say that, well, they're pretending to be that person. And generally those artists will change the costume enough that it's not like, who it's trying to be, but it's not necessarily, oh, that's exactly Rogue, or that's exactly so-and-so. But this is a really big deal. This is a really, like, you have a lot of companies that are doing this, and it's big money. Especially Whatnot is kind of the I think it's getting a lot of the blame for these kind of things being on there, but it's basically because they're one of the only places you can sell this stuff, especially the nude and risque variants, because places like eBay or Instagram won't let you sell that. Or if you get caught selling it on there, you could get banned. So I want to make sure I get caught up with chat here. Comics Elite, Merc, Artist Elite, all the Sean Hadachko companies, they do covers like this. Artists like Shikari, and I mentioned Marat Michaels earlier, and Monty Moore, and I'm not, they do. There's other companies though. It's not just them. And then we went over the AI art thing, so I'm gonna move on from that. Nothing says the Chaos Comics Lady Death are probably the only Lady Death I would get. He oversaturated the Coffin comics, and that's a fair assessment. I really enjoy the old Chaos stuff personally, but yeah, I hear you. I like the new stuff too, though. Cosplay comics. Yeah, and so that's the other thing is she lists herself as the writer for M House Publishing. So Ander is Collect says, or it's Andurus. I don't know if it's Ander is or Andurus. Sorry about that. Well, it's her book, I do believe, because most of her M House books are chick Fargo lounge type of. Yeah, Pharaoh's Lounge is the other big one that's big in this game. But there's several of them. I've asked every time I've hopped in. Plus, I won't doubt that it was called Lady Death. Example up. Okay. Next up is a Jessica Rabbit cover. Okay. Excellent Rose says, yeah, that's all we know. Don't know anything about her. Never spoke to her. Saw the apologies and saw that it was being discussed here. Oh yeah, for sure. And hopefully I can provide some context here. But I honestly I want to get to a different part of this conversation. But I do kind of need to go through what happened so people have context. Yes, yeah, I agreed with that. Hey, we got 78 points of articulation. Yeah, I mean that's kind of the idea, right? Bootleg boob books, exactly. Matt Spidey in the house. What's up, man? How's it going in Aussie land? I'm curious what she did that was different and wrong. Yeah, well, so that's the thing. That's the thing we'll get to in a little bit here. Yeah, I mean, for sure. I mean, well, you could argue like Dynamite kind of does that a lot too with theirs. M House, Harley Quinn, Max, Fed, Virgin, Melinda's Comics, Harley Finn, Suicide Squad. Okay. So that sucks. I can't can I copy text from that? Ugh, that's a lot to type in. That is the most infamous AI art comic that she claims is not AI art. Okay. Yeah, so on her website, she has a lot of Pharaoh's Lounge stuff going on. It looks like she might be affiliated with them. I don't have any evidence of that. Again, I'm pretty unfamiliar with her. So my point isn't to bash her necessarily, because she's not necessarily doing different stuff than other people are, like people have pointed out in chat. But the thing is that what you have in this case is you have an independent comic, an independent character, and the creator of that character in that comic coming out and saying, hey, wait a minute, what's going on here? Because somebody sent that post to Brian Pulido, and I think he may have taken the video down. I was hunting before it to have the link ready to go before the show. It was on a Facebook group that I just recently joined, and I don't think the video's up there anymore, which kind of makes sense with how this all played out. But it's Brian Pulido made a response to Melinda's Comics on Facebook, I believe, that was something along the lines of, hey, I need all the details about how to get in touch with you. This is our character that's being used, and all the details about the artist. And then he put out a video saying, if anybody has any information about this, get in touch with us. Don't harass the person. Let's let our legal team take care of it, which was, by the way, that's a classy move. I'm glad he said that. And then the next thing was an update. The next thing was an update of what Brian was saying is that, this has been handled and forwarded to our legal team. kind of, leave it alone, everybody. Okay, I'm pulling something up right now. Let's see if I can find that AI cover, supposedly. Oh my God, eBay app. Oh, I've seen this before. Okay. So let me work on pulling that up real fast, just to give everybody a little bit further idea of what we're talking about here. So I think that what basically happened is most likely either she felt the pressure, or her legal team, or Brian Pulido's legal team, reached out to Melinda's Comics, and all of a sudden she's destroying the comic and apologizing. And I will bring that up again. It's a vertical screenshot, which is always difficult to share. Okay, so here is, you can see at the top there, Melinda's Comics. This is a screenshot, and I'll just kind of read it to you because I know it may be difficult to read, but you have it here. She says, recently I had made a parody / cosplay cover. Very careful to use that term, as I have seen it done before by other people and companies. So I figured it was okay to cosplay cover of such a cool character, Lady Death, even though it was small, not mass produced, and for fun while you're selling them. That's one thing we have to say about that. Because other people do it does not make it okay. I had no intentions of hurting or putting stress on the creator. After getting in contact with them, I can see Brian was upset, and I apologize sincerely, which, yeah, props for that. We'll never do that again to Coffin Comics. Okay, very specific. It was never my intention to put down, but I was in fact thought I was doing the opposite and lifting up, as I've seen it done so many times. Again, thought it was cool. I have nothing but love for them and the compassion they showed. Thank you for understanding and compassion in this event. Okay, so we do have the apology. Oh, I guess I saved that as a screenshot on my phone. So there is a follow-up post. I'll see if I can pull that up here. Yep, I can. StreamYard makes this a little hard, guys, to just quickly switch between things. So let me present this other tab. Okay, and I got to add that. There we go. So this is something that was shared over in my Discord by Buddy. I appreciate that. And so here is another update. There's that cough. Recently, I made a serious legal error. I created and attempted to sell an unauthorized comic portraying Coffin Comics character Lady Death. This action was clear infringement upon Coffin Comics IP. It was wrong, and I sincerely apologize. Further, I promise to never again use any Coffin Comics character in the name of cosplay or tribute for my own financial gain or any other reason. And then I know that's going to be very difficult to see there. If I do that, do you guys see that? I went and tried to check this out, and you can see in the picture clearer that those are really those comics. It's kind of hard to do that in this blown up screenshot. So she did just destroy some of the comics. And I'm going to get caught up with chat. Got Ferdbird. I think we said hi to you, Ferdbird. Thanks for being here, man. She's ripped off IP and is going to get away with it. All she's going to get is a cease and desist. Yeah, I did see the comic, and I'll share that in a second. Oh, it might still be up in your Facebook group. Interesting. Okay. Pulido got ripped off his rights on Evil Ernie and almost for Lady Death. Yeah, and that's what I said earlier, CJ. If you weren't watching. Not too late. You're here now. That's what matters. Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like, she's very specific to say Coffin Comics. So question is, what happened to the ones she sold? That's a really good question, and I don't know the answer to that. I had the same question. I was going to bring that up, Mal. So for all I know, did she send those out? Did she cancel those orders and refund people? I don't know, because she was selling them on a stream the night before. Oops, hit space bar. I'm sick and tired of all these douchebags stealing people's IP and thinking it's okay. I was laughing at the spelling of douche there. I hope they go after everyone that's doing this, making print stickers, T-shirts, mugs. Yeah, I know that's a hot button issue for you. So here's where it gets interesting to me, and the meat of the argument. We've had the apology, which, by the way, hey, props to the apology. Maybe it's just fear of legal action, which is understandable. But there is kind of this fine line where parody law permits quite a bit. And there's a long tradition in comic books of this kind of stuff happening and essentially being, more or less okay. I'm going to go pull up this link real fast that somebody was nice enough to type out all that stuff for me so I could copy it and show you this other cover, because I've definitely seen this before. There we go. I can share that. Zoomed right into the boobs. Of course it did. Not on purpose, I promise. So let's see here. We can share this one. So this is the other cover that I've seen associated with Melinda's comics. And look, to me, this is very much in the vein of Shikari a little bit and a couple other digital artists. It's interesting. So apparently people say that this is AI. In fact, we can go one step further and we can test that out real fast. At least we can, see if there's any truth to that possibly. Let me do this. And then we'll open another link up here. Because the AI element to this, I think, is important. Okay. Live shows. This show, that picture. Okay, so here's what I'll do with you. I haven't looked at the results yet. And I will share this. So if you're not familiar with this, Hive, not to be confused with Hive Comics, Hive is an AI company, and they have a detection tool. You can upload an image to it, and it'll scan it and see if it is running across patterns that it thinks are AI. So this one, it's going to be very hard to see on the screen there unless you are like on a big monitor. On the right there's a column of number of labels, and there's a list of strings of values that are lower than one equal to 1 or lower than 1. And that is the confidence level that this AI detection tool has that it is that thing, that label. And so the one on the top there that it's most confident about is 0.998 AI generated. So it is saying that it is 99.8% certain that this is AI generated, according to this AI tool, which I've seen artists that I'm pretty sure are telling the truth. And they've self-admitted it, that they've run some of their art through this, and all of a sudden it came up AI, and they're like, well, I know it wasn't AI, but they're doing maybe certain things in certain tools that are causing it to come up AI. I would say that's a fringe case, but it is possible. And so I don't want anybody to see this and be like, it's definitely AI. This is a tool, and it could be manipulated or fooled in certain ways. What is more interesting, though, is the next possible result is from Stable Diffusion, which is a very popular AI generation for art, AI art generator. And it is the same 0.998. So it thinks that not only was this AI art AI generated, but it was generated with Stable Diffusion. It has, other popular tools here like Midjourney, Adobe Firefly, Hive itself is on here, Dolly. Those are listed here as well, Bing Image Creator. And then the other one that it comes up with is none, which is it doesn't have any confidence of what is this, it's the error percentage, it's the 0.002. And that's pretty common, but that's a minuscule percentage. So if you want to use that tool yourself, it's free to use. It's called thehive.ai. Go check it out. And then the tool itself is called AI generated image detection. So it's a fun tool. So where we get to with this is, by the way, from what I recall with that cover, to close that loop, apparently, I hope I'm remembering this correctly, I believe that she claimed that a real artist did that and that artists had done other covers for her, I think. And then it's one of those things where I believe nobody's really been able to locate that artist and they've kind of remained anonymous, which doesn't sound good. If I'm wrong about that, I'm sorry. But that's what I remember. When I saw that image, it kind of sparked a memory, and that's what I remember from that. Yes, this is true. This is true. And yes, figure drawing is 100% correct. If you look at her hair, there's the left ponytail just goes right back into her head, which makes no sense. I don't know why that would ever happen. But yeah, you can't really see it too well on that part of the image when it's on that tool. She got big when she did a comic with rapper Lazybone, who that makes me feel old. I don't, is that a famous rapper? I haven't heard of that rapper. Hopefully I won't replace all artists. I agree with that, of course. Well, it matters for the integrity and responsibility of the character of the person involved. If they're lying about art generation, they're showing a pattern of manipulation. If I don't, I can't say for certain that's the case. The artists are all just tweaking AI art now, including Shikari. Well, that's a bold claim. I don't really associate with that group for various reasons, but I've heard Shikari has a group where he shows progress of art being done. I've heard that from Sean Hadachko. But obviously, he has that person under contract for certain covers or a deal with him at least. So it's kind of a biased source. I haven't joined that group to see it for myself. But yeah, I mean, supposedly there are breakdowns out there of that art generation. If this is okay, then I'll make an exact duplicate of Spider-Man and call him Man of Spiders. I mean, I think you'd be okay I think you could be in parody law at that point. Well, but a lot. So the problem is, the reason they all look the same is they're taking digital art from popular digital artists, and that's the feed material they're using to generate the images. So you end up with that type of look. But specifically to Shikari, I'm not willing to call Shikari an AI artist. I am skeptical. I'll put it that way. I'm healthily skeptical. Sicko, I think the other part of your comment got cut off here. There is a case in Texas where chat. I don't see the other part of that message. Yeah, just joined it. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's very possible. I just, I until I have proof, I don't say it. That's basically, I'm a skeptic. Use too much hairspray. Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, obviously I know Bone Thugs and Harmony. I don't know the individuals. That's cool, I guess. I mean, it's not cool that they're doing a comic with them. I don't know. Yeah. So that's actually what spawned Ricky's. That's what spawned a lot of this. Is there's a post out there where Sean from Comics Elite ran a bunch of those covers through AI detection tools. And liked the one I just showed you the most. And one of the Wheeljack covers, or maybe two of them, came back as having some iffy AI potential. But there's a couple things going on there, because there are tools that some artists use that help generate poses. And there's also some tools that digital artists might use that might help them clean up some of their work. Again, I think it was Monty Moore that said he had a cover that he knows was created by him that came up as AI generated. And one of his tests, he was surprised to see it happen. And that would be a really weird thing to self-admit, but hey, maybe it's possible. No, CJ, you're making a different point than me. So that's the case there, as usual. Yes, absolutely. I agree with that. I agree with the AI art problem. That I do agree with. Texas professor failed a grad student for using AI generated articles. Professor did this because he asked ChatGPT if they made the papers, even though they provided timestamp documents on their hard drive. Oh, interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay, not a channel I've heard of it. I was not familiar with it. That image was the crux of the issue, I think. That he asked her about the supposed artist in her stream, and she kicked him out. Interesting. Okay. Yeah, so that's the question that CJ's raising, and it is definitely a discussion that I'm going to have at some point. I'm trying to focus on the legitimacy of cosplay covers specifically, but there is this idea that, like, let's say not just blank sketch covers. I mean, that's a good example of it. Let's say you go and say, "Hey, Jim Lee, I want you to draw a Wolverine for me." That would be a case where it's like, well, Jim Lee works for DC. He doesn't work for Marvel. He doesn't necessarily have permission to draw a Wolverine. You know, that's just an example. I mean, maybe he does have some kind of agreement. He's Jim Lee. But take another popular artist and say you want them to do a sketch of a character, and then they're making money off of that. There is definitely cause there. That's a fascinating question, Beefit, and I'm sure there were some cases involving Mad. But see, that's the deal with Mad. Is I believe if it wasn't Mad, it was somebody else that set the precedent for parody law, which means that there is it's like a political cartoon, right? Like you can make fun of people by exaggerating them and making, just SNL skits, all these types of things. You're public figures. You can make fun of that. You can talk about it. And so you can use that ability to do parody comics, like we've seen that happen in comic books for years now. So there you go. Yeah, as far as the actual AI part, like I'm just talking about the ethics of the person involved, if there is cause to believe that. I bet you if Melinda looked fat and ugly, more people would be going nuts about this. Well, I mean, the people definitely, in my circles, people definitely were all over this, for sure. Hive took credit for all of my work, even though I know I made it. Now I'm scared to post anything that's not on paper because it might just be the next victim of someone saying, "Hey, yeah." And that's. I would be careful about uploading your own artwork to Hive, because then it might be using it for their purposes. There's probably something in their disclaimer about that. Yeah, there's a really good argument to be made for Marvel, and I think for most of these companies, right? I think that they see, they want to promote the business of comics, is my guess, and there definitely should be a route for the companies to get paid for that, I guess. At the same time, maybe they should pay their creators a little bit more in the first place, so they don't have to make all their money by selling sketches on the side and original art. Hey, what's up, Immortal Biggie Shack? Welcome to the house. Yes, that's a really good way to put it. There's no rules to make it. And that's the thing. That's where I laughed at it in her first post because she says, I did this for fun. You can do it for fun. That's totally fine. Just for example, like if I were to draw Lady Death myself, no one's going to come after me for drawing Lady Death. they could come after me for, putting it on a t-shirt and selling that and saying, hey, there's my Lady Death t-shirt, right? That's where you kind of come into it. Yeah, I mean, I understand where he's coming from too. I'm just having a different conversation. If I get too broad on this topic, it's going to take all night. Legally, artists are supposed to use other people's characters. Are not supposed to. Yeah. However, there is some gray area artistic interpretation. Yeah, that's exactly it. I mean, it's definitely something that is a little bit more nuanced, and Marvel, I'm sure, is fine fighting it, but most of the people they'd be fighting in the the con scene would be their own employees or people that work for them, and it wouldn't be a good PR move. And there's a lot of things to it. Melinda's Comics, that Whatnot Simplub, that is something that is definitely tied into this, is that you do have a figure. There are a group, not a group because they're not necessarily together, but there's a number of female sellers on Whatnot that find themselves on the side of controversy like this. There's definitely something to be said for that. There's a lot of, but I also am not aware of precedent of anybody being told no by Marvel. And I think that's a big part of this. You can make the argument that since they haven't done anything about it, that they've kind of allowed it to exist. And that could actually be a legal battle as well. You don't think those folks know, as in the people buying, the artists, or the publisher, X11? Yeah, so I think you'd be opening yourself up to civil lawsuits, though, for the copyright holder to maintain their copyright. Think about it. If you were selling Mickey Mouse shirts, Disney's going to come after you if they're aware of it and it's on their radar and you're making enough money. That's the other part of it. Small potatoes, right? If you're only making a little bit of money, people don't care. Somebody shares this with Brian, all his attention's on it, Brian Pulido, he's going to care. That's a huge part of the difference. Maybe. That's also a good point. Yes, federal lawsuits are expensive and complex. But making a profit is fun. I agree. Hey, what's up, Tat Comics? I'm sorry, I totally screwed that up. Oh, okay, there you go. Without written consent. Yep. Nut fluffers is what I call them. That's great. She was signing a Lady Death comic. The Whatnot Wild West and real life have blurred, and they let them do what they want. Hopefully, Pulido may stop this. Yeah, and that's the thing is, so she posted that. I have not heard from Coffin / Brian if they're letting it drop. For all I know, they're still pursuing legal action. I don't know. Yeah, and I think that the idea that it is theft is something that's easy to say. I think the legal implications are a little bit more murky, depending on the specifics of the situation. This situation versus a comic creator selling you a sketch cover at a con, I think, are two different things. For example, take this for example. If Marvel Comics sells a Wolverine blank sketch cover, do they not expect people to draw Marvel characters, including Wolverine, on it? There's an implication there that that's what they're expecting to happen. That is so funny, Ricky. I just said that. That's great. Too many simps defending women with questionable characters. Yeah, I mean, personally, I don't look the situation with the female streamers and all that stuff. I don't care that there are women out there using their bodies and sex to sell comics and to sell sexy comics. I don't care that people want to sell sexy comics. I will tell you that I appreciate that type of art. I don't buy a lot of it. There's a few that I have bought. I mean, like literally a handful. And I've bought some to sell because I knew they would sell, but I haven't done that in a long time. There's a few that I can appreciate the art. I have a little channel on my Discord server where we share artwork like that kind of stuff from those kinds of covers, and some of them are fun. Some of them aren't. A lot of them aren't for me. I don't like the really nude, super nude ones. I like a little bit more implication. I like that kind of stuff, but I can appreciate some of them. That's totally fine. It's not the subject, it's how the subject is performed. It's how it how the ethics behind it. Where do you go with that business model? But yeah, I mean, if you're a hot woman and you're hot and you get on a stream and you sell more comic books, why should that bother anybody? Now, it's okay to make fun of the people buying from them or the people that are overpaying for those books from them, but I can't fault them just for doing it. It's like a lot of people have said that I have a nice voice, and that's very, very kind of people to say. If I do voiceover work or something like that, I'm just using something that I have naturally. It's a very different, very different situation. I'm not going to make as much money doing it, but you know what I mean. Hey, Ricos, you're here now. That's all that matters. And Clayton Crane should steal Melinda's wife. Now there is a comic book I would read. Whatnot makes you press a button saying you're 18 plus if a show is marked mature. Yeah, that's true. We know a few folks who draw and sell those blank covers, good people who should never intentionally rip somebody off. So hard to believe they don't realize it's theft. So I have to believe that. Yeah, and again, I think it's saying it's theft is shaky in my opinion. I understand the argument both ways, but I genuinely don't think that law has been tested. Or not even law, but the copyright part of the copyright law. Hey, right on. Nice. Absolutely. Thanks for being here. I should have a package going out to you, hopefully like on Monday, maybe Tuesday, by the way. What's up, Rude? How's it going? Hey, happy birthday, by the way. Listen, Bronzy knows what he's talking about. Yeah, I mean, sometimes. But I also, I admit I don't know a lot of things about this kind of stuff too. Simpnod is sad. I want comics as kid nostalgia for ladies. I go to porn movies, and talks and stuff. Yeah, I mean that's fine too. But I think there's plenty of room in comic books for that stuff, and there's plenty of room in comic books for the stuff we're nostalgic about and the stuff that we want and new stuff. I personally think that's fine. I think I'm mostly caught up here. Yeah, happy birthday, Rude. That's awesome. I hope you had a good one. I hope you got lots of Superman comics. I don't understand. I guess you don't like Superman. It's kind of an inside joke. Sorry. So I think we'll move on to the next topic. Before I do, I just want to remind everybody that if you want to go support, it's pinned to the chat. If you want to go support Jen, Comics Will Break Your Heart. Talk about a positive. We talked about something negative. Let's talk about something positive. You could win this sketch. All you have to do, man, I got to change the light metering mode on my camera again. It gets really dark whenever I hold up something that's going to reflect a lot of light. There you go. It's going to get a little dark, but yeah, that's the 8.5 by 11 sketch, original art sketch you could win. Legal or not, I don't know. That's up to interpretation, I guess. But you're not buying it. You're donating, and then you get a chance to win it. So that's really cool. If you donate $10, send me proof of your donation, and tell me who you are on YouTube so I can write down your name. And at the end of the show, I'm gonna do a drawing, and we'll give that away. We've had 2 people that are willing to tell me they donated and want to win the drawing. And I've had a few more that have donated, which is awesome. They just don't want to win the drawing. They want to remain anonymous. So that's really cool too. I appreciate all the donations. Wow, that's high praise because Swaggle House is to be honest, I don't know if I should say this, probably my favorite other channel out there. I think that he does great work. Well, no, man. We're doing this for her, Don Gustavo. Yeah, you go donate right now and you could win this. She's been tagged on the post. She knows what's going on. She actually was very thankful that we're doing this. Go donate, and then on her GoFundMe, it's the link pinned on the top of the chat. And then in the show, we'll give that out. Sketches are permitted to be drawn on individually, not to be mass produced for sale. For example, someone can get a ton of sketches. Yes, okay. We're back on that bandwagon. We're moving on from that topic. Yes, absolutely. He's a really cool guy. Definitely going to try to do some more content with him in the future. I've done some stuff with him in the past. Every time I watch one of his videos, I'm just like, oh my gosh, like if I had the time to donate or to devote to doing this stuff, that's the kind of stuff I'd love to make. I enjoy your channel. I enjoy hanging out there. I like that you have like the big Insomniac streams. That's fun. It can be a lot of fun. It can be nice to do while I'm doing work on the side or whatever, to kind of participate in the chat and stuff. That's great. So yeah, the big thing for me is just kind of this idea of like, where do we draw the line? Just kind of wrap up that topic. Where do we draw the line between parody and ripping somebody's character off? With all, there's a lot of money being made. I mean, it's probably not tens of millions of dollars or anything, but there's a lot of money being made on these cosplay style, especially the sexy covers. Because they can sell for, they do like metals and lava foils and all these different things, and those are very premium. They sell for hundreds of dollars in some cases, and especially on places like Whatnot, people go nuts for these things. Taking the Melinda comics and the Coffin comics, taking all that out of it, there is a growing trend with that, and there's also a lot of people that really love to yuck other people's yums when it comes to that stuff too. I've noticed, and say like, oh, those are so stupid, and people should always, well, what these are the same people that usually say buy what you like, right? So there you go. Hey, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for being here. I really appreciate it. Go get some sleep. I know it's late, especially on the East Coast. Yes, absolutely. It really has been. And like I said, I got a chance to meet her at Rose City Comic Con. She was a very nice person. We did dinner on Saturday, Comics with Bueller. By the way, I didn't mention that when I showed it this time. Big B McFly on Instagram is the person that drew that. And it was his idea. This is all him doing that, by the way. Because he was going to give me this for my Heroes for Heroes charity auction for Mission 22. Sick piece. And I met up with him, and he gave me this too. And he's like, why don't you do this for Comics Will Break Your Heart? I'm like, that's a great idea. So all the props to him. I'm just facilitating it, basically, guys. Give him the props. And then he was inspired by Bullseye Bob too, by the way. You, Journos Comics, Swag, and Reggie Collects are my only comic-based YouTube channel I rock with and inspired me to make it. That's awesome, man. I need to go check out your channel. I have $1160 to invest in a big book, maybe Hulk 181. All right, there you go, man. Well, sounds like you got a plan. The cosplay covers legit confuse me. Yes, the Pooh covers. I actually have one. So here's the clickbait part, right? I'm doing Whatnot again, guys, because the reason is I have to clear out some room. What do I have it under? Hardly Thin. Yeah, I need to clear out some room. It's not really to make money; it's to get rid of comics. I need to make a couple dollars each or whatever on some of them. Hopefully, $1 each. But so tomorrow night I'm doing a Whatnot. You can bookmark it if you want to, whatever. I don't care. I'm gonna try to do them every week, not this Monday, but every Monday after that until my Heroes for Heroes auction on 11/11, which is Veterans Day. Just to make room. I also might pick up a small collection on Sunday. My first collection I ever picked up. I'm gonna go look at it. It's a friend that hit me up and said, "Hey, I have some long boxes." But I just had this handy, so I had to show it. It's hardly thin. And I do like the homage in this case, but I kind of just got it a really cheap deal on a Whatnot sale a long time ago with some other books I bought, and I was like, well, I'm trying to save on shipping. But I own the original now, which is the biggest thing. Is I didn't own the original, the real comic, so that'll be on my Whatnot tomorrow, I guess. If you want to call that a plug, so be it. But yeah, that kind of stuff. I don't normally like them. I won one from Economics and Comics and sold it. Didn't like it. What is time? Time is a flat circle. Time is a flat circle. Oh, there you go, man. For FanDuel or like something like that, I assume. Me too, trying to collect my spawn run, so I do sale. Yeah, that's the thing is I'm out of room, so that's a big part of it. And I'm gonna get some comics in. Like I said, I'm gonna pick up a collection on Sunday. I'm hoping to, and if I do, then I have a feeling a lot of those books would be something I'm going to put into the Heroes for Heroes auction. So that's part of the reason I'm doing it, so we can help raise some money for veterans. But I gotta make room to find them and get them in here. Plus a little bit of money to probably buy the collection. Hardly Thin, parody or ripoff? I think it's both. It's both. But yeah. A pillow is time. Lol, the word we invited. A pillow is time. The word we... I'm so confused by that, man. I'm sorry. I'm not quite getting that one. So I did get a message. I got to check to make sure that's not somebody who needs to get entered. For your November. Oh, that's for a different thing. That's Rob Fatstacks inviting me on his show, so I appreciate that. So I'll probably be on that. He's actually going to be on here too. Rob's going to come over and talk about comics curing cancer. I'm going to do a show with him. I think on the... Oh boy, I forgot what date it is now. I don't want to say because I'll get it wrong. But we set up something for that. And yeah, that should be fun. The Rob Liefeld thing, that's what we need to talk about next. I'm getting a little scatterbrained. So let me take that off and open this guy up. So it turns out a little bit of a charged subject with the Melinda's comic thing. That's kind of interesting. I'm glad we had a healthy debate about it. We definitely will talk about and address the other aspects of that soon. I can tell it matters to people, so we think we should. The IP law. That's actually a topic that we might cover on something like Devil's Advocates over when I do my shows on the EXP. That's a really good topic for that. By the way, I'm going to try to have some guests on. Kyle's not going to be with me on Monday for my Devil's Advocates show. So I'm having Jonathan Hedrick from the Recount. He's going to come on and do an interview with him. I wanted to get one or two other independent creators on there to kind of have a discussion about certain things that are affecting independent creators. So that's the goal. Worst case scenario, we're going to have an awesome conversation with an awesome creator. So, okay, here we go. I got to fix this because I had it all messed up for the other thing. So this is something that Rob Liefeld... The image is not from Rob Liefeld. This is from Anthony Miller in Comic Book Group, which is a Facebook group that I'm not part of, so I don't have the original stuff. This is just screenshots I've seen. Try to get that as big as possible. Why? Go away, preview. I don't want your little preview there. That's so weird. Anyways, But the original comment below is from Facebook, and he replied to this post. Again, I'm not part of the group, but it's Rob Liefeld saying, Jim does not draw a better Wolverine. At best, equal. You guys who bend the knees at everything Jim does are blinded by your childhood nostalgia. Yeah, we're going to talk about that a little bit later on in the show. Yes, I'm going to mention that as well, Hector. So dropping a name, Sicko, like a name drop, like using your name. Like if I was talking in another conversation, I was like Synchrotron, then I'd be name checking you. That's funny, Psycho Phil. So look, I am not really a big Rob Liefeld fan. I appreciate Rob Liefeld's art to an extent. Not a big fan, but I appreciate it. Is that view better? No, it's not better. Just real quick, wanted to see if there was a... Oh, okay. Doesn't matter. So I don't know where to begin on this one. But yeah, so to follow up with what Hector was saying, he says that's not actually his... I think I have it here. There we go. So to read this to you, this is another Rob Liefeld reply. This is definitely to that post because I can see it above. This is my post from 5 days ago. The other shares are doctored and phony. So this is his version of Wolverine. Now, unfortunately, because it's a screenshot, let me see if I can read that. When it comes to Wolverine, I draw one of the very best there is, have been my entire career. I have drawn him to exact... oh boy, I can't read that. And appears you are... Unfortunately, I can't read it. And again, this were just screenshots that were shared with me. But from the, he's basically saying he draws the best Wolverine. And there's the picture he shared. Now, first off... Look, if you're going to say you draw the best Wolverine on the planet, there's something going on with his abs and like his lats or whatever, and his stomach, this weird flat pec, the nose, and it's a Liefeld style. And by the way, if you like Liefeld style, awesome. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's also, by the way, I think it's fine as an artist to jump up and say, I'm a great artist. I like what I do. I'm good at what I do, and be confident. That's okay too. It's weird to just come out and be like, I'm the best Wolverine artist. And I wouldn't put Rob Liefeld on the top 50 Wolverine artists, probably. That is a great comment. Oh my God. Bravo, figure drawing. I love it. Jonathan is one of the nicest dudes out there too. He sent us some signed books for our veteran brothers. Oh, that's great. That's awesome to hear. Yeah, him and I have been trying to connect for a while, and timing just didn't work out. So I'm glad we're going to get a chance to talk to him. Oh, there you go. Oh, so I'm sorry, you were looking for suggestions on books. I thought you were just saying you're looking for Hulk 181. I'm sorry. I maybe misunderstood that, Don Gustavo's Sleepy Slots. Just making sure I didn't miss anything else that's related to the Rob Liefeld thing. Commentary says Melinda should have stole Liefeld's IP. That troll would have suited her to oblivion. I agree. Todd McFarlane Wolverine is interesting. Good good God, though, let's. Four. I don't remember. I know 423 is a great cover. I just picked up a second print of that myself. I don't remember 428. Hey, buddy, we were just. I was thanking you earlier for your sharing the Melinda's Comics thing with me. I appreciate that. Hopefully you got your slab, by the way. I'm sorry that took a long time to get sent out to you, but he won a slab from me. So I finally think it got delivered to you. Look, as far as Wolverine artists go, I mean, Barry Windsor Smith, Jim Lee, I think certainly belongs on that list. Andy and Adam Kubert belong on that list. So many. Frank Miller, back in the limited series days. Geez, there's so many. I mean, I guarantee Silvestri. You could argue Majorera's Wolverine is better. Yes, yeah. That's what I got. I got a second print. I got it at Rose City Comic Con. Hey, Glenn, what's up? Thanks for coming by, man. I'm glad you got it. Again, I do apologize for the lateness on that. It's all good, man. It's all good. Barry Windsor Smith. Yeah, Barry Windsor Smith is fantastic. Yeah. I mean, I like, there's a Hulk 340 right there. I'm always messed up by that. Hulk 340 right there. And I love it. But I don't think it's the best. I love that cover. I love the idea, the composition, the way he did it. There's actually some Marvel team up covers he did with Wolverine on it that are really nice. They're kind of X-Men issues. They're really good ones. So, but I mean, there's so many artists that are better. But even if you, and Lionel Francis, Lean Wen, Herb Trimpe. There's a million artists have drawn Wolverine great. I mean, a lot of people like John Romita Jr.'s Wolverine. I personally don't, but a lot of people do. Yeah, man, I'm really sorry that happened. I'm sorry that happened, man. My condolences to you on losing your furry friend there. I'm sorry about that. And I miss Roscoe. Hello, Roscoe. Thanks for being here. So just this idea that, Rob Liefeld has really, in my mind, I think he just likes the attention. And I think he feels maybe like he was a little, I'm guessing, maybe a little pushed aside or a little underappreciated for some of the work he did in the early 90s as his legacy went on, and people just started making fun of him for the can't draw feet thing and the Captain America barrel chest and all these different things that Rob Liefeld's done. I think he has a chip on his shoulder. Well, I would say the cover to Wolverine 1, the limited series. I would say Hulk 181 is a very iconic Wolverine cover. Probably Hulk 181. There's a lot. You could say Jim Lee on Wolverine 27. I have it. I have a couple copies of it, actually. John Byrne on Wolverine 17. John Byrne's another great Wolverine artist that we didn't mention. Oh, dude, thank you. Yeah, both of Texiera's run on Wolverine is actually a lot of the early superhero comics I read were those Texera Wolverine comics. Actually, I read a lot of G.I. Joe and Sad Sack and other stuff before that, but eventually I got into superhero comics and that. Yeah, exactly. So there's a big attitude problem there. Yes, yeah. X-Men 243. I probably got that wrong. No Wolverine book. Haven't we? I thought we've been talking about those. I'm sorry. Yeah, I mean, there's a ton. There's a ton of them. Jim Lee X-Men #1. Yeah, the Wolverine Cyclops cover. I like Nakayama, John Boy Myers, Inyuk Lee, and some many others. And Liefeld 2016 and down is cool to my eyes. And Todd, not Spawn, but I'm okay with the Spidey extra. Okay. Yeah, that's Hulk 340. Yeah, well, and I think Adam and Andy both did a really good job on Wolverine. I really like both of their works. I have a Wolverine 100 and a Wolverine 88 signed by Adam that I really enjoy. I'm glad I have those. I read that whole like Larry Hama run on Wolverine. I read all that. I loved all those things. Oh, dude, thank you. Sam Keith was the name that I was really trying to pull one that I knew I was forgetting. It was Texiera and Sam Keith were the two. Thank you for saying that. It's kind of hard on your stream sometimes to remember all those people. Liefeld consciously thinks his shitty artwork doesn't stink, but deep down his insecurity compels him to lash out. I think that's a very astute interpretation of it. I don't know. I like their hash browns. That's actually one of the McDonald's items I actually do like. I don't know. I'm fine with Nakayama's style quite a bit. It's distinctive. It's just how it is. Headless Hammerhead did point out to me there's a few of his women that tend to look slightly cross-eyed, but I think he's gotten better at that, which is my biggest concern. But that's where we're going to come to on this. Art is very subjective. That I think that should be baked into, some people like really detailed, that Jim Lee, Todd McFarlane style, a lot of line work, cross hatching. Jim Lee notorious for that. A lot of people love that stuff. A lot of people like dreamy, painted Bill Sienkiewicz, Mac, so many. Sam Keith is kind of like that kind of surreal style. Some people like anime inspired art, manga inspired art, like artists like Adam Warren. Some people like Adam Hughes style, and that some people love Alex Ross and and some people love all of it. That's all fine. And I think Rob Liefeld, like I went back and read a lot of the original X-Men stuff, and so in the 90s I kind of started to read some of the X-Force and the New Mutants and stuff, and a lot of things he worked on. It's got its moments, and then there's pages where you're just like, there's a lot going on here. But it's got its moments. The funny thing is, a lot of the stuff that I think of as being like Cable is a very, like, I think of that as a very Rob Liefeld character. Deadpool, oddly enough, I think as time has gone on, I don't think as much of Deadpool really is being a Rob Liefeld. It obviously is a Rob Liefeld character, of course. But I mean, it's also kind of a Deathstroke ripoff, and it's been done by a lot of different artists, and it really wasn't the writing of Deadpool early on that made him what he is. It was later runs that were done that made Deadpool who he is, and the Merc with a Mouth and all that. So it's interesting. It's interesting legacy-wise. But I think, I don't dismiss old school Rob Liefeld out of hand. I think that stuff's good. I think a lot of his new stuff I don't really like as much. Like he did that Sam Wilson as Cap cover to the infamous Cap barrel chest. And I think it's funny that he's kind of like trying to downplay. He should have leaned into it. He should have drawn a bigger chest on Sam Wilson than he did Cap. If you did that, I would think it's funny. Wolverine 2 with Silver Samurai on it. Yeah, for sure. Art is what the eye enjoys. AR every day Roscoe. Nice. I'll always be a Nakayama fan because he is a phenomenal person. I really like him. I would love to interview him sometime. I secretly enjoy Boss Logic. Boss Logic is fine. Raza, you're just talking about art now. There's so many good artists out there. The problem with Liefeld is not his art. Well, I mean, but part of the problem with Liefeld is his art. Let's be honest. Yeah, I think that's true too. Oh, nice. That's awesome. Ooh, I'm going to check that out. Aggressively Relaxing. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I mean, you're kind of not too wrong there. That's a good point. So we're gonna get close to doing the drawings. I just want to point out, if you guys want to donate to Jen, she's literally paying for her cancer treatments. Go do it. Send me a proof of your donation. Right now, 2 people are officially on the list for winning this. It'd be cool if we could get some more. I think that'd be awesome. I do want to talk about a couple things real fast while I have you here. Stuff's going on for the channel. I've been very absent from the channel. If you watch my last live stream, my birthday live stream, well, that wasn't my last live stream, 2 live streams ago. I have some reasons why. I've been going through some stuff personally, and I will get back to it. I have some stuff I can do that I can get released over the next week or so, at least, that I've previously recorded, like a couple of reviews. I can do some, like a con recap from my experiences at Rose City Comic Con. There's been a big shakeup with the top 5 not to buy videos I do, which I used to do every week, and it's been a few weeks now. There's been a huge shakeup where the CBSI list is not done by Ben Stein anymore. It's now done by Peter Renna of Renavision, if you're familiar with him. And there's been some unfortunate shakeups there. So I'm going to do a little bit of a fun take on the top 5 not to buy here at some point. It's going to be more of a top 10 not to buy. And it should be fun. And then I have to figure out what I'm going to do, because really now I would be looking at the Key Collector Trending 20, the CBSI Hot 10, which is now Peter Renna's. Ben Stein continues to do the top 10, and he's doing it on his own channel, which is where he would release the videos anyway. And Brian McClay is still backing him up there, from Brian McClay from Beyond Wednesdays, or used to be from Tales from the Flip Side, and used to be with CBSI. There's a great stream where they talk about the history of what happened with CBSI and what happened with so many people leaving CBSI and all that. I really recommend checking that out on the Beyond Wednesdays channel. I personally really like Ben Stein. I think he's a good guy. He and I have talked before. I have an open invitation that I have not yet used to go on the Hot 10 and be a guest for that show. Maybe there might be a little bit of that. Everybody thinks it's Comic Tom though, and that's the part that bothers me. It's not just supposed to be Comic Tom. It's supposed to be all those hype people out there, kind of combined together. He's on the list, but it's not just him. So I'm going to have to figure out how to do those videos in a different way, because that's a lot of comics, picking the 5 worst from, again, it's Key Collector Trending 20, CBSI Hot 10, Ben Stein's House of Stein's Hot 10, whatever you want to call it. I can't remember if they have a new name now. Cover Price Top 10. There's a lot of comic books there. Picking the top 5 is interesting. I might start just doing like a video on Friday, because I think all the videos will be out by Friday that show all the lists, and I just might go through all of them and just kind of review each of them quickly, point out notable things, that kind of stuff. I might continue just to make the top 5. I have to kind of get some feedback from you guys. I'm going to discuss it with some of the people that I know have been fans of that series for a long time and what they want to see. And really, here's the other part. I know I have a huge number of the price look backs I need to do as well. Those take a long time to make. I sit there, I edit it down to usually about 15 or 20 minutes, but it's usually about an hour or more of me looking through prices. Because when I do the price look backs, I use Cover Price, I use Go Collect, I use comicspriceguide.com, Overstreet Access, eBay sold listings. I really go out and get all these prices. And I could just show you the data and be like, here's what it is. But I want to be transparent, show all the prices. So I go through and I show like every meaningful comic I come across, and searching through all those different comics. But I'm doing 5 lookups across, 5 sites. So I'm doing like 25 individual searches. So it becomes a long video, and then I have to edit all that down. I have to edit all the spaces to make it a watchable video. People aren't going to watch me do that for an hour. I don't think. Maybe. Let me know if you would. If you would, that's fine. That'd be less editing. So it's the best kind, man. It's the best kind. What's up, Steve? How's it going? Hey, man, have a good night. Thanks for being here. So good morning. So I need to figure out what's going to happen with those. Also, I'm working hard behind the scenes to bring you Heroes for Heroes 2023. Again, that's a live stream that's happening on November 11th, which is Veterans Day. I'll be on Only Slabs, Rob Fatstack's show earlier that day. I'm going to do some other things to promote it. There's a bit of a holdup right now because I am working with Heroes for Heroes to become an official event. With Mission 22, which is the charity. I'm working to become an official event through them. There were some logistics questions and some technicalities on some of their agreements that they have that I had to make sure were okay. Like, hey, we're gonna collect funds this way because I need shipping funds to ship comic books and art out to people, and I got to make sure that it's okay to like keep that portion for shipping costs. Again, 100% of profits are going to go to Mission 22, but it's going to be really exciting. I have a famous YouTuber submitting original art. I have, and I mean I also have Big B McFly, and no disrespect to Big B McFly, but he's not as famous as the person I'm talking about. I have original art. I have like full on original art. I have signed prints, signed posters. Got an important message that just came through. Excellent. Did you... if you're still watching, did you want to be in the... I gotta type this out. Did you want to be in the drawing? So somebody just sent me proof of their donation. So many people that have done this, but it's cool that people are doing it. So many of them want to be anonymous, which I totally respect. So I don't want to assume. Okay, cool. So Andurus Collects is going to be in the drawing. I appreciate your donation. That is very, very awesome of you. Collects with a Z. I missed that the first time. So now we have 3. You have a 1 in 3 chance of winning the sketch. So yeah, Heroes for Heroes is going to be rocking. There's going to be some. I have several original pieces of art. Probably at this point 6 comic books, slabs. I'm gonna. Am I the drawing? I don't know. Are you the drawing? Have a good night, man. Did you want to donate and send me proof of your donation, CJ? I would happily put you in the drawing because that would be great. We're raising more money for Jen that way. So you have to donate at least $10 and then send me proof of your donation. You can send it through IG. And then you're going to be in the drawing for a chance to win that. And I'll ship it out to you if you're the winner. So it's going to be a huge event. A lot of original art. I have omnibuses, trades, signed posters from Arthur Adams. I have a few people that are still deciding what their contributions are going to be, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But I'm slowed down by the fact that Mission 22, there's an approval process for some of the promo stuff, since I'm going to be an official fundraiser through them. Oh, he did not tell me that, CJ. He told me about one other person. Do you have you can tell me on IG if you want. Do you have an alternate account that was used for something like that? Because he told me one person who had donated that he wanted to get in because they met the threshold and he was talked to about it beforehand. It wasn't your name though, so unless you have an alias you go by, get with Big B, which I have not been able to get a hold of him today. I wanted to kind of clarify some things or have him on the show or whatever, but I hadn't tried too hard to get a hold of him because I've been super busy. Full disclosure, but I tagged him in a bunch of stuff, and I was thinking he would reply or come in here or something like that. Sounds like you're BSing, man. So it's going to be a big deal. If you're curious, if you'd like to send in comics to get auctioned off for charity, that's something, you know, or original art or whatever. That's something that people are doing. I ask that you send those things out, and I get them by Halloween, or at least send them out by Halloween. The reason why is I need to receive them. In some cases, I'll need to rebag and board them, or all those kinds of things, and promote them. You know, put out posts saying here's the stuff that's coming to Heroes for Heroes to kind of generate that buzz and get people excited. But we're going to have that auction. It's going to be really fun. It was really fun last year. We raised almost $2,000. I'm really hoping to raise more than that. But I'm being held up on like releasing the promo materials and kind of getting that stuff going. So hopefully in the next 10 days, something will kind of be out about it. So that's exciting, and I really hope people tune in for that. You know, if you don't want to spend money on comic books or original art, or you don't want to bid on items, you can also just share posts that I make, and I'll be sharing a lot of them. You guys will probably get a little sick of seeing it, but I think there's gonna be some really cool stuff too. So hopefully you won't get that sick. All right. I mean, this might be donation related, so. Okay. Well, CJ, you should go to my original post and do the tag 2 people and do the green heart emoji if you want to be in. Because Bigby did not talk to me about that, and you know, I mean, I'm glad that you supported her, but you know, got to follow the rules, right? You like rules. So it looks like you would have donated around the time I posted this, but I hate the way Instagram shows this stuff. But yeah, it's pinned on my profile if you want to go to it, CJ. Let's make it official. Why don't you do that? I have your proof of donation. If you want to get in, I don't want to exclude you if that conversation happened. But yeah, let's follow the rules. There we go. Oh, there we go. I'm getting a message. So we'll do that drawing, and then I have to do the giveaway for the channel members. Again, you're going to get a chance to get this 1 in 25 Venom 23, the Moon Knight 1 in 25 of issue 25. And again, I can't remember if this is a 1 in 50 or 1 in 100 Ramita Jr. ASM 25. A lot of 25 going on there. 25, 25, 25. But yeah, we'll do that drawing right afterwards. So CJ, I'm just waiting to see if you did that. Yeah, man. Channel members get a chance to win these things. I'm tired of ripping sellers off on eBay. I am frightened sometimes the stuff won't arrive until I file a claim, and once me and eBay settle stuff arrives, they should add a tip feature. I'm tired of ripping sellers off on eBay. I am frightened sometimes the stuff won't arrive until I file a claim. So are you saying you file the claim and then the stuff shows up? Well, I feel bad. I feel bad if you're he contacted you about it. All right. Well, can you send me a screenshot of what he said to you? That would be enough for me. I mean, I trust you, but you know, I thought you'd appreciate following the rules. Hey, what's up, Kingdom of Nerds? How's it going? I'm pretty sure one of my aliases is having a fight with one of CJ's aliases in this knitting community. I don't know, is it about bags? Because that could be. Hey, what's up, Vinny Whitlock? How's it going? Okay, I'm going to pull up a random generator here. The problem is Bigby did message me about the other person. He didn't message me about you. So that's where I feel like I'm in a bit of a spot here about whether or not it's cool with him. Just double check, see if it looks like he's online. He's online. Here, I'll ask him. He says he's online. Hopefully he checks this message. Oh my God. Swipe was not working very well. Okay. Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right, let me find the random number generator, random list generator, random.org. And, well, either way, CJ, I appreciate the fact that you donated to the cause. That is very, very generous of you. And that's the important part in all of this, is that we're getting donations for Jen. Okay, just make sure I get their messages before we do this. Share this to, I don't like how it does that. All right, so here we have the random list generator. So the three people that wanted to be on, besides CJ, are What's on the Comic Rack, MON Comics. By the way, MON Comics on Instagram, I saw he was in the hospital, so hopefully he's doing okay. Sounds like it didn't sound great, so I hope he's doing okay. There's a back issue, apparently, and not a comic book back issue like his spine. And Andorus Collects are in there. So we're going to do this. What I'm going to do is when I do randomizers, I do it 3 times, because the Bronze Age of Comics is kind of the third age of comics, kind of the fourth age of comics, whatever. I do it 3 times. That's my lucky number, damn it. So there's 1 time, 2 times. I'm going to hit randomize again, and the person in the number 1 spot will be the winner. And that is What's on the Comic Rack is the official winner of the sketch. So congratulations, What's on the Comic Rack. Luckily, he messaged me. So you win the sketch if you happen to be watching the video, like on the rewind, and you want to see that you won it. That's awesome. And I'll message you and get your shipping info and get that sent out to you. I really appreciate weirdness of who's in and who's not in aside. Many people have donated to that cause. In fact, I want to see where her GoFundMe is at right now. GoFundMe. Ironically, even though I have it pinned in the chat, it doesn't show up on my side on StreamYard, which is annoying. Internet going slow. There we go. So, well, there you go, Sicko. We'll talk about it for a second here. So she is at $14,830 of her $25,000 goal. That is awesome. So it tells you right here, Sicko, just, and for anybody who's wondering. So Jennifer is a lifelong comics reader who shared her love of the medium across hours and hours of video streams and podcasts. Her uncanny knack for combining deep insights and completely inappropriate comments have delighted thousands and infuriated dozens, who quite frankly deserved it. A couple of months ago, Jennifer was diagnosed with a very serious and aggressive form of cancer at the age of 34. There's no good age to get news like that, but 34 is especially tough. The good news is she's already started treatment. If there's a silver lining here, it's that her age improves her odds of beating it. The most crucial thing right now is that she needs to have the resources to continue her treatment all the way to a successful outcome. Anyone familiar with healthcare in the U.S. knows that even with decent insurance, fighting a serious illness isn't cheap. She's doing everything she can to get healthy, and we're doing everything we can to raise the funds that she needs to continue doing exactly that. Every dime that we raise goes straight to her checking account after GoFundMe's fees, which does kind of suck, to help her cover the medical bills that are already starting to pile up. So that's what's going on. And, Sicko, if you missed it earlier, yeah, I mean, I've met her, so I personally feel invested in this and want her to get better. There you go. Yes, and keeping her reading is very, very, very important. And yeah, absolutely, Matt. Congratulations to the winner. What's on the Comic Rack? That's very awesome that you guys were willing to donate. And thank you to all the people that anonymously donated and didn't want to be part of the drawing. I appreciate your donations just as much. That's the important part. And huge shout out to Big B McFly for doing this. For this is all his idea. I appreciate that very much. That was very awesome. Let me go back to that random.org and we'll do the drawing for the channel members. We're going to go back. Oh, because I already drew it. Okay, there we go. Got to get rid of those names. Let me set up the new list here for everybody, and we'll do the channel member drawing. What else? What else we got to talk about? Weird. Open. Okay, I'm just pasting the list into the randomizer here. And again, by the way, if you are a $10 a month channel member, you do win a slab. So I'll send that to you as well if your name comes up. The $10 a month channel members will be the ones with an asterisk after their name, just to kind of help differentiate that so we don't have like any shenanigans going on. And real quick, got to make sure I didn't miss anybody on the old list here. I think I didn't get any new channel members in September, but let me just double check. I don't want to leave anybody out. Do we have Chris on there? Yes, we do. By the way, Cody Fraley, if you're watching, speaking of winners, contact me because you won last month and I don't have your shipping information. So if you're out there, Cody, and you're watching, or anybody knows Cody, hit me up. I found something on Facebook I think might be the right person, but they didn't respond to my message or friend request. So, and then got Papa on there. I just want to make sure I got the last few people. Okay, cool. Cool. Frog Brawler. Okay, great. Do we have second best Bob? Yes. Okay. I think this is everybody. Sweet. Okay. Her channel was demonized or demonetized? Quick. Interesting. She's going through this right in the middle of Comics Curing Cancer annual charity event. It's been amazing to see the support. Yeah, absolutely. I am super impressed with the Comics Curing Cancer crew. I'm glad. I can't wait to talk to Rob. Just messaging Big B back real fast. And I'll just tell him we drew the winner. So yeah, it's been impressive. Oh yeah, I'll talk about that after I do the drawing here. I forgot about that. Thank you. Hey, awesome. I appreciate that. I'm letting Biggie know who won because I don't think he's watching. This is so silly. Oh, CJ. Just got the cover. He told you to go register, so you didn't do what you were supposed to do. That's what it comes down to, according to him, at least. Anyways, we got that taken care of. I'm telling him I'm live right now. Okay, so here's the list of channel members. We'll go to the top. In the chat right now, X11 Bravo, at $10 a month channel member, very long time supporter of the channel. I'm very appreciative of that support. Go follow X11 Bravo on Instagram. They do some really great stuff for veterans over there. I'm trying to do some really cool stuff for veterans. They're also a group of veterans. So win-win-win. Speaking of veterans, Starset Comics is actually currently in the Air Force. So go follow Starset. I think it's Starset Collectibles now. I can't remember what he's changed his name on IG. I can't remember what it is now. Tex, who is actually not officially a member through YouTube, he didn't want to pay through YouTube and Google, so he paid me on the side. But he paid the equivalent amount that I would have gotten from YouTube. Yeah, so we might have a guest on here in a second. Let me send an invite real fast, but I got to do an invite link here. There we go. So yeah, we'll have somebody hop on in a second. So text Gamma-based Comics. Gamma-based Comics is actually the ones that donated the books we're giving away. If they win, we'll re-roll, because I don't think they want their own books back. He just likes to support me. He likes a lot of the work I do, and I really appreciate that. That's why he literally, there's no sponsorship that's really paid. He sends me his books for giveaways. I think they're awesome. Go check them out. I've bought some really good stuff from them too. Got a Transformers #1 from him not too long ago. Some other good stuff too. But yeah, Transformers #1 was like the big one. Oh, and a Booster Gold #1 as well. Chris Naples, Sean Sipple, also a $10 a month member. And then we have other long-standing members, Preston, DC Irish, Chester Benson, Collector P, Jack B Comics, Tomb, Comic Journey in the house, Cody Fraley, aforementioned. If you're out there, Cody, I really want to hear from you because I need to send you your books from last month. Shigeyuki Kikita, Matt268, who was in here earlier, Shadow Rat, Malverde Designs, who was in here earlier, Sonia Prieto, who was in here earlier, Darren Smith, Psycho Phil, who was in here earlier, Comic Bookworm, Paul Pittman, the aforementioned Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics, The Atomic Frank, Second Best Bob, Wilbert, E-Man's World of Geek, Papa Wheelie, and Frog Brawler. An awesome group of people. I'm going to do the strong one fast, and then I'm going to bring in a guest we have waiting backstage. But let me just do the winner for the giveaway for this month. We're going to randomize this 3 times as well. Again, this is September's prize package. If you want to become a channel member, you could win comics like this next month. Also, we're going to do a movie watch along, I think Monday night, and then we're going to watch Morbius on my Discord channel. And we can kind of like Mystery Science Theater 3000. That's kind of a horror movie, so I think it's appropriate to watch here in October. So there's the second time. Darren would be the winner if we only did this 2 times. Good luck to all the channel members. I appreciate your support. Here we go. Third time coming around. Starset Comics is the winner. That is awesome. Really appreciate his support and all of your support. Thank you so much for that. Starset, congratulations. I know where you live, so I can send you the prize package. If he wants it, he might actually pay it forward, but we'll see. He might want them. He's a big Spider-Man fan. So huge shout out to him. Congratulations. And in the meantime, I am going to bring on a guest here backstage, kind of the man of the hour, so to speak. We were talking about him earlier. His ears must have been burning. Everybody, it is Big B McFly. How's it going, Big B?
Hey. Going well. How you doing?
Great, doing great. We just gave away your sketch you did of Shazam there. What's on the Rack Comics won that one. So thanks for doing that, man. I was telling him it was all you, that it was your idea. You just wanted to kind of have a bigger channel, do it to kind of get more eyes on it.
Yeah, anything I could do to help Jen out.
Yeah, absolutely.
It was super cool meeting her and you and all the other YouTubers that we hung out with at the Rose City Comic Con, and yeah, I just wanted to do whatever I could. So,
well, it's awesome. It's very much appreciated. And I was telling too, like if you guys keep following along, we are doing this giveaway as an auction item on Heroes for Heroes on Veterans Day. That's another sketch that Big B did, which is freaking killer piece of work. He drew that on In Between the Lines, right?
Yeah. Geek Out with Roscoe and EM Nerdy. Yeah, that was fun. Yeah.
Right on. No, that's really cool. So I think it's awesome we raised some money for Jen. That's really cool. But you're here now. I'm just curious. Do you want to talk about that one thing, or do you want to save that for another time?
We can talk about that one thing if you want to, or
we might save it for another time, but we'll tease it. Why don't we tease
it? That's a good idea. There we go.
So a lot of you watching, some of you may have even discovered my channel because I made a video about doing a little thing where I was using my cell phone inside a comic book shop, and that owner did not like that. He kind of scolded me for it and said, I don't allow cell phones in my comic shop. this was news to me because this was my hometown local comic shop of, at the time, 30 plus years. Granted, cell phones weren't a big deal for all of that time in my lifetime, but I never had been told that before or heard that policy or whatever. Now, admittedly, I was not in that shop a couple years at a time. I've lived all over the Northwest, and that's certain times I lived in Idaho, certain times I lived in Oregon. The store happens to be in Washington, and it was very interesting that happened. So it was not Mile High. No, it was not Mile High.
Mm-hmm.
We don't speak of cell phones here. So I made a video about it. It was really funny. The job I was working at the time, I actually had somebody tell me, because I was like, I'm doing this YouTube channel. I had just started the channel, and I was excited about it. And I had somebody tell me like, "Oh, that's terrible. You shouldn't make that video. You're just going to destroy their business." And I was like, "Well, first of all, I never said I was going to say which shop it was. I was just going to talk about the experience." It's kind of weird they jumped to that conclusion. But I had this really weird feeling about making that video because of that. And so something I've tried to do on this channel, and it's just a part of who I am, is I try to be really, that's why I do that show Devil's Advocates on the EXP. I try to be a devil's advocate. I try to look at things from both sides. And I don't always assume that I'm right. A lot of times I'm wrong. So I made that video, and I basically tried to say what happened and my experience with that shop, and as long as I've been a customer there. And I really do ultimately believe that there's a possibility that the owner has, maybe some bipolar, hot, cold kind of tendencies. Sometimes I watch there, he's been my best friend. And certain times I watch him there, he's, been rude as hell to me. And what do you want? But other times he's like, "Hey, how's it going?" And I was like, "Who is are you a twin? What's going on here?" So I made the video about that. It blew up. Journos shared it. Again, I had like no subscribers. I got a bunch of views over time, which is really cool. I mean, that was nice. I've never been into that shop since then. I've thought about it, but I've never done it. But the reason we're talking about this, and again, we're not going to get into all the details. We will later. But Big B and we discovered kind of the day we met online, so to speak, that we'd both been to that same shop.
We have. And it was funny because I was telling the story. What was it on for the stream with Bleecker and K-pop?
Mm-hmm.
I was telling a little bit of the story, and you were like, you started messaging me on Instagram, asking me questions. Like, wait, this sounds really familiar.
When you kind of mentioned where you were at roughly, like, I was like, geographically, that kind of adds up to where the shop is located.
Right.
And I was like, is there any chance, what shop was it? And we found out it's the same shop. So, I'm not, again, you don't have to go into all the details, but did you have a good experience at that shop? Was I completely off base with my analysis?
I would honestly say I found some great deals at that shop.
Mm-hmm.
I've never had a good customer experience at that shop ever. I mean, and I, again, like, just like you said, on and off, being in and out of the hobby, just happening to wander in there and then getting back into the hobby and wandering in at a certain time. He's always been an odd duck. So
that's interesting. The biggest thing that I had a hard time describing it on that video, and I didn't want it to be like the focus of the video either, but I try to explain like what that shop is like inside, especially
it
the way
is
the books are
crammed floor to ceiling with about every kind of collectible you can think of, and probably literally hundreds of long boxes of comics, right? And they're all covered with broken down diamond boxes on the tops. And so you can only get to certain boxes. And when I went to move one of the broken down diamond boxes, I got scolded and asked what I was looking for. I was like, well, I can see the Captain America divider, but I can't get into that box. And he's like, well, what issues, what are you looking for? And I said, well, silver, bronze, I'm just kind of looking for, some of that Mike Zack stuff from the Bronze Age. And, I don't have any of that. You don't need to move that.
Stay out of my Captain America comics. Yeah, it's this weird, like, at the end of the day, like, do you want to sell comic books? Like, what is the...
And literally, he told me he didn't. He said, why should I sell my books right now where I'm losing money? And I was like, well, losing? You priced all of these.
Well, and you are a better hunter than me, I think, and it was based on some of the things I've seen that you've pulled, that you've kind of shared with me or whatever, at other shops. And then you just said, you pulled some nice books out there. I got to be honest. I think the nicest book I've ever pulled out of that shop, and I'm somebody who, like, if I'm going through something and I see something that's, undervalued, and I know it's worth more, I'm probably going to pick it up, if it's a big difference in value. Because I can sell it to put towards stuff I want, right? Like other X-Men books or things I collect. But generally, I'm looking for stuff I like and stuff I want for my personal collection. I'm not really seeking that stuff out. But I think I pulled some Star Wars Legacy books out of there or something like that. And that's what I was looking at when he told me not to use my phone. And it's genuinely because, like, I like Star Wars a lot, but I also know some of them are valuable. And I'm looking through for me and for what I'm talking about. And I was on Key Collector. I was looking through because I don't, can't keep straight which issue's which. But also at the same visit, I was looking at another list I have on my phone of books I'm hunting for that, so I don't end up with duplicates that I don't need, that kind of stuff. Or I remember the gaps that I have in my runs. And he didn't care. Like, it didn't matter to him that I even said, like, well, he's like, I know what you're doing. And I'm like, I'm not going to deny that I'm, like, grabbing some stuff out of there for that. That's not a problem. But I'm also looking for stuff from my own personal collection that, like, I can't remember every single comic book I need that I'm looking for in my runs. Like,
that was me. I pulled out that Moon Knight where it's just his eyes on the cover, and it's white, and it had some speckled ink on the edges and stuff. And I was like, and I asked him, I said, is this part of the artwork or is that a printing flaw? And he said, oh, I don't know. And so I pulled out my phone and I was literally looking up the image of that book. And he started screaming at me about, there are no cell phones allowed in my store. You key collector jackass, basically. And yeah.
Well, it's funny. I'm going to give away my basic geographic area here. And I've talked about them before. I've even done a video about their store, and I've talked to the owner, Chris, there a few times. I know you're familiar with this shop. I've been to I Like Comics in Vancouver. Mm-hmm. And the first time I went in there, I was looking through G.I. Joe books, and I was trying to grab a first full appearance of Destro for my collection, because I had a bunch of G.I. Joe comics. I sold a lot of them. I kept a few, but I sold a lot of them. And I'm kind of, I don't know if I'm going to get the whole run, but I'm trying to, at least get the keys and the stuff that I remember, stuff that I really loved that I had. Mm-hmm. And he had a Destro book, and I'm kind of looking at it, and I'm like, man, this seems kind of overpriced for what it is. So I went up, and I do this pretty often. I'm like, hey, is there any room to move on this book? I think it might be a little higher than I'm used to seeing on this. That's all I said to him. And so him and I got to talking about the price of this book. And did I say the name of the shop?
Yeah, I think you did. You said,
okay. I Like Comics in Vancouver, Washington, which is it's a great shop. If you like looking through a lot of comics, and there's generally a lot of keys around, it's a good shop to go for that. Mm-hmm. So I was talking to him, and I mentioned to him, I was looking on Key Collector, and I was looking on eBay, and at the time, and he's like, what's Key Collector? And I Like Comics is the biggest comic shop for several states in any direction. And he's a guy, he has I'm assuming millions of comics in his inventory. It's pretty. I mean, he shared a picture the other day of him clearing out a warehouse of comics he bought, in addition to the stuff he already has. So he's got a massive. He buys up a lot of stuff. He bought out the comic shop that was in town besides him, for example. So he buys up a lot of stuff, and he had no idea what Key Collector was. So it is interesting, you know, when you talk to these shop owners about Key Collector or you know, that kind of stuff. And, you know, I mean, it's one of those things where I think I mentioned in the video is a big part of it is pricing comics is part. It's like the whole pricing at the register thing that has become an issue in comic collectors' eyes, at least. Is, hey, I don't want to spend, you know, an hour digging out a bunch of great books and seeing prices on them or no prices on them and coming up, and then all of a sudden you're taking the best it's ever sold for on eBay and saying that's what it's worth. Or that's the thing is I don't really know how you're arriving. Like, you know, if you're using Overstreet, are you using eBay sold listings? Are they going to, you know, Go Collect? I went to an antique store where they use, I can't remember the name of it. There's a site like that for all kinds of collectibles and antiques and stuff. And it'll list prices for comic books that are super ridiculously high. And I think it's pulling like the highest it's ever sold from eBay before. So you'll take like a raw 50-cent book. I mean, it's a 50-cent book all day long, and they'll want $20 for it. You know, they don't care about the condition. They don't know very fine from VG. They don't know. And you run into that kind of stuff, and it's a real issue for collectors, I think. So I think it's a relevant topic still to this day.
I told you that I Like Comics is built on the remains of my 2 stores, right?
Yeah, and that's what I was curious. I didn't know if you wanted to talk about that, but yeah.
So good.
For people, do you want to tell that story?
Oh, I was going to say the best book I found at that guy's shop was the first appearance of Silk for cover price in the back issue bin.
There you go. Are you talking about the shop we both went to, or are you talking about like comics?
The one that we both went to.
Yeah. That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. Yeah, and that's the thing is I think at some point, because I was doing my pulls there, and you know what it was is like he usually would take a little while to grab your pull box, and I would just kind of dig through what's available, but I would never want to really move anything. Occasionally I'd have him move the stuff where the X-Men books were because I wanted to dig through that. But it's been so picked over, like there's nothing desirable in there really. It's a lot of the stuff you see at pretty much every comic shop. But I bet you if I had him move some of the other stuff, probably could have found some more stuff there.
Yeah.
My favorite.
I don't like talking about the I Like Comics thing. If you want to talk about that, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, I got screwed during the big housing bubble bursting. There was no banks weren't making loans, and at that time, my wife and I were expecting our son's birth, and so we decided we wanted to sell our shops, and sold them, and then ended up basically losing them both because we carried the contract, and we got screwed, and Chris ended up with all the inventory somehow.
Yeah, and that part is the part that, I mean, you know, losing the store is bad enough. It's the ending up with the inventory part that really that stings a lot, man. I can only imagine.
Yeah, I mean, the one store I went, the guy defaulted, and he said, "You can come take the store back." And I went back to get everything, and the building owner said he hadn't paid his rent in like 9 months, and if I wanted, they were going to auction off the contents of the building rather than let me reassume the lease and reopen the store. So, and I hadn't been getting paid from the guy for quite a while, so I didn't have any money to pay the back rent that he owed. So I was pretty upset. I was like, "Are you kidding me? I've got this awesome relationship with you of, you know, being a tenant here before I sold the store to this guy who ended up being kind of a scumbag, but come on." But it didn't count for anything. They thought they were going to get rich off of auctioning off the contents of the store. I think they ended up getting, was it less than $5,000 for the entire contents of the store. So,
wow. Do you know about how many books that was?
Oh, it was a ton of books, ton of graphic novels, role-playing games, miniatures, it was a well-stocked comic and game store. So.
Yeah. Well, and you know, not that you need to get into all your personal details, but that you've owned 2 different comic shops, right?
Yeah. I had one in Vancouver, Washington, and one in Astoria, Oregon. So.
Yeah, and both ended in terrible situations.
Yeah, the first one was the fella who bought it was, I don't mean to talk bad about people in the military. This guy just was a bad apple, but he bought the store, and he was in the reserves was his career, and he called me up one day after owning the store for about a year, and he said, I've just been officially declared deployed. He trained folks that went over to Iran and Iraq, and he said, so they're going to fly me over there like 1 or 2 days a month to go do remedial training for these guys, but I'm covered under deployment situation. And I was like, oh, cool. And I said, why are you calling me about this? And he says, well, now I'm protected by the National Soldiers and Sailors Relief Act, which means you can't take any legal action against me. It's designed to help protect, like if we have a soldier overseas, someone can't, take action in a lawsuit against them where they can't really do anything about it.
Right. They can't defend themselves because they're not around.
Right. And so he said, I'm going to auction off, or on auction off, but I'm going to sell off the contents of your business, and there's nothing you can do about it legally.
I don't actually believe in karma, but I feel like the universe has to be looking out for you in some way after those situations, man. Like, I don't know, like maybe you're gonna pull an amazing.
There are cool things that happen for me, but there are also bad.
Yeah. Well, I just feel like you're gonna go to a garage sale one day and you're gonna be the guy that pulls an Amazing Fantasy 15. That you bought a whole box of comics and all of a sudden it was in there or something like that, right? Like, I feel like
missed one like last summer by that much.
Wow.
I got a phone call from this lady. So I had driven by. I drive a CDL truck for my living, and I had driven by this road up in the hills, and it said garage sale, and I was like, I should come back there. And I was like, after work, I was like, no, I'm really tired. I don't really want to go. And the next day, I got home from work. I was eating dinner, and I got a phone call, and this lady says, a friend of mine referred me. You bought books from them, and they were referred by somebody. You bought books from them, and if you're fair with people are gonna keep referring you. And she said, would you come out and take a look at these books? And I said sure, and I came out and looked at everything, and first thing I noticed when I got there, she had just tons of antiques sitting out on these tables, and she was leaving them out in the yard overnight, and she says, my mother-in-law passed away, and I'm liquidating her estate. And this lady was an elderly lady herself. She was in her 70s, and started looking through, and there's a lot of just funny animal books, that kind of stuff. And I said there was the one. Gosh, what's the book? It's one of the books that predates Hulk #1. One of the Strange Tales kind of. I think it might have been a Strange Tales issue, but it had a bunch of little ads for Hulk in it. But one of the pages had been torn out. It was kind of rough.
Okay.
I was like, well, this is a cool book, though. I think this is kind of neat. And I was telling her about it, and she goes, I said, but I don't see a lot of anything that's really super valuable. But I know a guy who deals in antiques, and I can hook you guys up, and he can really help you out. And he likes the funny animal books and stuff. And she says, really nothing in there is really worth that much? And I said, yeah. She says, even the Spider-Man one? And I said, what Spider-Man one? And she goes, well, the kid that was helping me out organizing everything said that this one was a really good Spider-Man one. It had Spider-Man and he's on a web and he has the guy under his arm. And I was like, you had an Amazing Fantasy 15 here? And she's like, I should still have it. I didn't sell it. Well, the kid had run off with it.
Oh my God.
So I missed it by one day.
So the kid talks about it with him and then steals it?
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah. So I told her, I said, if I was me, I would call the police. But she said, no, the kid's family are family friends and blah, blah, blah. And we go to church with them and I don't want to make a big issue and blah, 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 blah. It's like,
wow.
We are talking about a lot of money. But
yeah, I mean, it's one of those like, that's a crazy story. It's one of those things that I've always like, the weird one for me is I always thought Amazing Spider-Man 300 is like of a vintage and could look like just another Spider-Man book to people. I've always like had this weird vision of like, I hope I could go to some like antique store or whatever that doesn't know anything about comics. They just have a bunch of comics for sale and find an Amazing Spider-Man 300 for, dirt cheap. And then I think about it and I'm like, well, it's so weird because yeah, that'd be awesome. But at the same time, would I feel right buying it? Knowing like, and now it's not was worth as much as it was when I used to think about that, but it's still a pretty valuable book. But if it was for $5 or something, and it's a several $100 book, it feels kind of weird. Like on one hand, like I love finding deals on things, I love negotiating, all that stuff, but it's the thrill of the hunt kind of. But there's a line where it starts to feel, like if that Amazing Fantasy 15, if she was selling it for $10 or something like that, like how do you feel about that, right? Like that's just such a weird, like you say, like, nah, actually this is worth like tens of thousands of dollars or
right. So somebody, I've heard some other people's like say if something's like a life-changing thing for somebody and you screw them over, how are you going to live with yourself? And I told her, I said, if you get that book back, I will help you sell it. I know the right way to do it, but I'm not going to take advantage of you that way. I feel like if I go to a store and they've got stuff priced incorrectly, that's on them. They priced the things. They had the time to do it. They had every opportunity to price something the way they want to price it. And usually they make up the price based on what they paid for the item. So they're making a profit based on what they paid. So if I find a great deal, we both win, right? But
if it's an actual comic book shop, I have like, hey, you priced your comic books. I feel like that's where we're at with this, I mean, and you're just as likely to go up to the counter and have them say, oh, that's the wrong price, we're going to charge more for that, like, I mean, so but yeah, for me it's more like the garage sale, the antique store, the flea market, the that kind of pickup or whatever, where it's like I've always thought like it'd be nice to make a deal, offer them more money than they're really wanting to take, and then if it's an Amazing Fantasy, that would be like insane. I'm thinking like a book that's a few $100s, not a book that's tens of thousands of dollars. But then say like, hey, I can if I'm going to sell this, I'm going to give you some of the money from it because you I don't think you know what you had, that kind of thing, like.
Right.
Try to make it right, like you I don't know. Some people I feel like they can do anything and still sleep at night. That's not me.
Right. I mean, like when I first got back into collecting, it was during the boom, and I went to a shop and I was like, okay, it was also during that time period where everybody was pricing everything at the register, and I said, all right, prepare yourself. And I walked in, and the first box I went to, it had the A box, the Amazing Spider-Man box, right? And I start flipping, and I go, there's a $2.98 in here, and it's $3. There's a $2.99 in here, it's a $3. There was no 300, but there was, on and on and on, and they were all priced at like $3 to $4 a piece. And I go, okay, here's where they tell me that they price everything at the register. And I said, all right, are these priced correctly? And they go, oh, no, they're not. And I was like, oh, okay, here it comes. And they go, we're actually having a sale right now. Everything's $1 off. And so I went to check out, and I brought the books up to the lady, and I said, this is really great pricing on these books. Are you sure this is what you want to charge me? And she says, no. She says, do you see a 300 in there? I said, no. She said, did you see what is it? The one where he's on top of Venom's on top of Spider-Man,
316 or whatever.
316. Did you see one of those in there? I said, no. She says, so she's like, I made my money off of the collection based on the books I pulled, and I put these kind of books in there so folks like yourself find them and you come back next time.
Yeah, and there are when I made the video about pricing at the register, there were some, actually maybe even some of the no cell phone video. There were some shops that reached out and were talking about what they do, and I know some shops that do this too. Before that will seed nice books out because they want people to find them, and they want it's almost like that viral marketing thing, right? Like it's a $50 book and they put it out there for $5 or something like that, and somebody grabs it, and maybe they tell other people, or maybe they post about it online, or maybe they just keep coming back 20 times trying to find that book like that again, right? So it's
right.
Definitely that sounds like an amazing experience.
I talked about that as being like a former shop owner. Like, I put those books out there based on, like I said, what I paid for the book, and the profit margin that I needed to make. And if you find a great deal, win-win for both of us, right? You're going to buy something that I wanted to sell, and you're going to get a great deal on it. And if I was going to be greedy about it and say, oh, that's not priced correctly, you can't have it for that price, you're never going to come back. Or maybe you're going to buy the book, but you're never going to come back. But if I give it to you for that price that it's priced at, you're going to be happy, and you're going to come back and appreciate me as a good businessman. So
so I we'll wrap up here pretty soon probably, but I'm curious. I do got to talk about the Hotshot Comics thing in a second. Just as a former shop owner, a couple times, and you've obviously been in the hobby since then for the most part, it sounds like. What is your favorite thing about a good comic shop, and what's your least favorite thing about bad comic book shops?
So I will say that comic book shops can be great places to build friendships and rapport with other collectors. And that's what I miss about having shops, is that, and I kind of get that from YouTube, more of just being able to talk to other fellow collectors and that kind of stuff. However, they can also be a toxic environment where, like, not welcoming to new people, and so so, and I would say, like, business wise, like, the game has completely changed from back when I had a business to now. It's much more based on the variance, and online sales probably struggling to make that buck, rather than all being based on local sales. So
I feel like ratios and retailer incentives and all that kind of stuff has become a lot. I mean, it's been around for a long time, but it's become a bigger deal.
Right.
Interesting. So I do need to address the Hotshot Comics thing. So have you followed along with any of that stuff, Big B?
No, I'll be getting informed as you talk about it.
So somebody was asking in the chat earlier if I wanted to talk about the updates, because I was being name dropped in a couple of the owners' videos he did. So crash course in Hotshot Comics for those that don't know. So I got contacted by viewers or people that knew what I do, saying, hey, there's this thing going on with Hotshot Comics. And I'd heard, I'm in a lot of comic discussion groups. I'd heard a couple things about Hotshot Comics and not getting your stuff, basically, right? And you hear that about shops, like especially online stores, a few eBay sellers, a few like Whatnot sellers, that kind of stuff. You hear that stuff occasionally. And I didn't really think too much of it. I never bought from them. I just, was like, all right. Frankie's is another one I covered recently, where I'd heard that kind of stuff before. And what the real issue was, as I started to look into it, is there were a lot of people that had done 9/8 CGC pre-orders through Hotshot Comics. And we're talking about 2 to close to 3 years later, not received their books. And it struck a chord with me because I had a very similar experience with Slabbed Heroes, which is a store that does a lot of the 9/8 pre-orders. And it took me very close to 2 years to get my 2 slabs that I never got from them finally. And it took a lot of hounding of the owner. So I was kind of familiar with that. It kind of, you know, luckily they were cheap books. It wasn't a big deal. They were never worth anything really. And they're just things I wanted. But on top of that, there also had people that were going into Hotshot Comics, which is in Asheville, North Carolina, and were dropping off serious books, Amazing Spider-Man 300 and, you know, ASM 252 and Wolverine 1 and Fantastic Four 48 and 50 and all that kind of stuff, right? Like real books, and weren't getting those back either. So I got contacted by a bunch of people that were customers of Hotshot or Asheville Comics, the physical location. And I got turned on to a Facebook group where a bunch of people affected by the owner were congregating. I talked to a lot of people. I talked to the mother of his child. I talked to former managers that worked for him, former employees that worked for him, people that own stores in town, customers, a person that filed larceny charges against him for stealing money out of her purse at a grocery store. Yeah. An employee that, and multiple employees had sexual harassment related things. Not all of them wanted to talk about it publicly. One of them was willing to, so I talked about that. Just a lot of stuff. You could read the reviews for Hotshot Comics or Asheville Comics. It was pretty bad. At one time, there was 3 comic book locations. Now he's down to 1 baseball card, sports card kind of store, collectible card game kind of store that also sort of sells comics. So it's called Asheville Cards now. And the Hotshot website has been kind of turned off for a while, although apparently it's going to get turned back on. So for a long time, the owner, Doug, was saying that he was trying to get the comics back from CGC. What apparently was going on is he had such a large bill with them that he was unable to pay, that he got sent to collections. And then I guess he worked out a payment plan with CGC. But we're talking about 2,500 books, which is a lot of comic books.
Yeah, that's a lot of money to grade those. Yeah,
$50,000. So the problem is, and I'll address why this is still a problem, is if I come into your shop, obviously not you, sir, I'm talking about just in general, and I buy.
I don't have a shop. So.
Exactly. I'm just making sure people know I'm not talking to you. And I say, hey, I got there's this awesome new X-Men comic coming out. I want issues 1 and 2. Do you guys do CGC submissions, or are you willing to get those graded for me? And you say yes. And I say, great. What's that going to run me? And you say, yeah, let's do $75 for both of them, or $100. Let's just make it easy. $100 for both of them. And I'll order enough to make sure I got a 9/8 copy coming in, and I'll send those off for you. And when it comes in, I'll get you your slab. And I say, cool, I want that because I don't want to have to worry about finding a 9/8 copy at retail and submitting it myself or whatever the case is. If you then don't hold on to that money, because at the time, I think it's changed a little bit on CGC side now, maybe because of this or situations like this. At the time, it used to be that you would send your books off to CGC, you'd print out a form, you do all the CGC paperwork, you pack up your books. And this was during 2021 and 2020, late 2020. They would get your books in a receiving dock, essentially, and the package would be marked that it showed up. And then whenever they got to your box, they would open it up and scan in your form. And that's when your process essentially started. For some people, during the height of the comic boom / pandemic, that was taking a year for them to have arrived there to getting scanned in. Believe it or not, that is totally true. And that happened to me. It happened to a lot of people. I know people that were like, especially for like magazine submissions or vintage tier or whatever, you were waiting like 14, 15, 16 months.
At least they didn't outsource it like, was it CBCS? did
Yeah,
that.
outsource it to an employee's house in the middle of Kansas or whatever.
Then the books disappear, or some of the
Yeah.
books disappear.
Yeah. Yeah, I talked about that too. That was ridiculous. But that's, by the way, that's the whole thing, is like CGC was having all these issues and CBCS had all the room in the world to capitalize on them and never did.
Oh, they could have blown them out of the water.
Yeah. So if I give you that money and it takes this long for those books to go there, you as the business owner need to have the money available. So I didn't finish explaining that. So when CGC gets it, they scan it, they go through all their grading process, which is checking it in, queuing it for grading, actually grading it, encapsulating it. It's a multi-step process. It doesn't work all the time, but you can generally follow along on like a little tracker for your order and see where it's at in that process. Usually right when it's encapsulated and starting to be packed up for shipping, that's when you get charged for that invoice. So keep in mind, that could be a year later or a year and a half later even. Well, what happened is he was taking that money from these people and spending it on the store or whatever. We don't really know. And so
operations costs, right?
Yes. So when the big bill came from CGC, he went, I don't have it. I can't pay it. Or his credit card declined, or I don't know exactly what happened there, but that's assuredly what happened. So if you don't have that fiscal responsibility to hold on to those funds, and keep in mind, if let's in that example, you're charging $50 for that CGC submission. That's a made up number. It's pretty close probably to what a lot of people would charge, but it's it could be less.
Yeah,
could be more.
Sounds reasonable.
Yeah. The actual, at the time, the actual grading submission fee was probably, for a modern book that just came off the shelves, probably like close to $20 with shipping. They probably did big batches of 25 pre-order pre-screens. So that's probably about what it was. So they were clearing profit on that too. I mean, it's totally okay to take your profit and pull that out.
Yeah, not the money needed to pay for the bill.
Exactly.
Now, the prices did change, but not that dramatically.
Right. Not enough that you would think that would be that big of a gap in being able to pay your bill. So anyways, what ends up happening is, that somewhere in that limbo where everybody's waiting for their books, people are sending emails. And I've seen the email exchanges. I've seen both sides of the email exchanges. And people start off being nice. And they're like, hey, curious, what's the status of my order? And they would get really rude replies and like derogatory and, calling people crazy and all these different kinds of things just for asking, like, hey, where's my stuff? Where are we at with that? What do you know? But then there's a lot of replies that are like, oh, CGC is just taking forever. Well, but people are noticing that CGC's backlog has been cleared at a certain point.
Right.
And in fact, their turnaround times get down to a point where it's a few weeks or even less. Some people are getting their books back in a week.
It's getting crazy. I saw Bronze and Modern Gods was talking about they submitted some books and got them back in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Now, for a while, what I've heard is, and I have a pretty reliable source on this, there was still a large backlog, and CGC took part of their team and they started working on just new submissions that were coming in.
Right. So new stuff was flying through, and the old stuff was still sitting there.
Yeah. But they were still chipping away at the old stuff, and eventually, from what I understand, they pretty much got through that backlog.
Yeah.
I'm guessing things got really messed up. I mean, can you imagine how many comics were sitting there for that long? Like, probably hundreds of thousands of comics were sitting there. They probably got orders mixed up and misplaced. It probably became a nightmare logistically.
Can you imagine how many books got cleaned and pressed and then reverted during the time,
Can you imagine how many books were stored incorrectly as they're being, and crushed, and that can account for a lot of what people have seen.
You're trusting your books are going to get handled correctly and stored correctly, and that's kind of scary.
Yeah. So. And I'm not saying that happened, but I'm saying that probably happened. So around this time, these people are contacting him. They're getting these nasty comments. You're seeing nasty reviews. I mean, we're talking like he's literally like cussing people out, essentially, like in Google review replies to like how bad of experience they had at his store and all this different kind of stuff. And so I covered it in a video, and I said, hey, just to be aware, this is going on. This is probably a scam. Like, it seems like people aren't getting their money. It seems like people aren't getting their books. I talked about everything I'd learned from the various people. I learned from somebody about his past dealings on eBay, where he ran a card scam with sports cards back in the early 2000s, which there's not much of a record of because it was back in the early 2000s, which is very early for eBay and even the internet. And had left his significant other on the hook for a large bill in seller's fees. All these different things.
I do think this guy is a fine example of a upstanding citizen.
And whatever. I mean, it's one of those things where ultimately, I think if people got their stuff, there's plenty of crotchety, weird, eccentric comic book store owners out there. I think it's kind of a problem in general.
I think that's an understatement.
I mean, it's an issue. I think it turns some people off to comics, things like that. But whatever. I don't care about his personal life, so to speak, except for to speak to the character that was being built from what I could see. And the fact that people hadn't got their books or their money, they couldn't get refunds. And finally, the day that I released my video, I'd heard it was happening. CGC that morning released a statement saying that they were suspending Hotshot Comics CGC account. And
right.
There was a large amount of money owed, and then Hotshot fired back with, well, there's a payment plan in place, and we're trying to pay off the amount of the books we owe. And around this time, he came into one of the comments on one of the posts I made that was kind of talking about that. And I said, hey, well, if you want to talk about this, I'd love to interview you about this and get your side of the story. He refused to do that. And that's fine, by the way. But time goes on and everything's kind of in limbo. At this point, I try to reach out to CGC because I know some people that know people at CGC. And I try to find out what's going on through CGC. I try to talk to their general counsel. I try to talk to their vice president, who was pretty involved in the operations of this whole situation. And eventually I get in touch with the president of CGC Comics, and which is Matt Nelson. And I asked point blank, can you comment on this situation? Or can you tell us what's going on? Like, so the big question was, originally CGC said, we're going to ship out the comic books that we have from Hotshot to you if you submit this claim form, can tell us what's here, especially if you have a receipt, any kind of documentation. He also wasn't giving receipts to a lot of people, by the way, which really screwed things up. And yeah, that's kind of in a nutshell what they said they were going to do. And then they were repeatedly telling people that contacted CGC customer support, because Doug was out here, the owner of Hotshot, was out there saying that's not true. They're going to send the books back to me, and I'm going to send them out to you. And so people were like, can you please just send me the books? I don't trust this guy with my books. And they were saying, no, we're going to send them out to you directly. He's not getting the books back. Well, at some point, apparently legal for CGC got involved and said, oh, no, we actually are sending the books back to Hotshot Comics.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And so fast forward in time, even, I did a follow-up video around that time. Fast forward in time even further, and Hotshot starts posting that, hey, we're getting comics. They're coming in. We finally paid off all of it. Originally, they had to pay off 25% to get their first shipment, which would have been $12,500. I guess eventually they paid it all off because they started getting shipments and they started live streaming, unboxing these shipments, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of slabs. They're up on his Instagram page, which is hotshotcomics.com, spelled out DOTCOM. And in like the second shipment he got, and he's opening those comics, he starts talking about the person that filed a small claims court case against him, who had 10 big Copper Age kind of keys that he was waiting on. He sued him for money. He won. Then Doug, the owner, appealed that, and that's kind of where they're at right now in the appeal process. I had him on and interviewed him. He's ranting about that guy, Brad. He rants about the guy that created the Facebook group that I was invited into so I could kind of learn about all this stuff. And he rants about me, which is, whatever. I don't really care about that part. But yeah, if you guys want to go watch it, it's on his Instagram page. Interesting notes, because people are like, where are we at with this now? And that's kind of the question people were asking. He apologizes. He doesn't really take accountability for spending money that he shouldn't have spent. which is an issue for me. He also is unboxing, like he's even talking about like, this is a 9.2, this is a 9.4, this is a 9.6. And he's talking about sending these comics out. Like I guess he's going to send out like lower grade comics, but people pre-ordered 9.8s. I don't know if he's going to offer like a refund.
Probably not.
Yeah, probably not. You're probably going to get what you get is my guess. But from what I can tell, but he's kind of doing this victory lap thing, which does kind of irritate me because it's like, why don't you wait till people have their books back? You got the books. That's great. Wait till people have their books. Because that's what really matters. So anyways, that's kind of my thought on that part of it. But it is going to be interesting to see if all the people get their books back. If the majority of people get their books back, what happens with that, and what condition they're in, what was promised. Another interesting thing is going to be, does CGC reinstate his account, which is going to be an interesting one as well. So there's different aspects of this that are going on.
I could see them like reinstating it with like a stipulation that he has to prepay or something like that, you know.
And I believe the way CGC works now, because I haven't had a CGC account in a while and I haven't done a submission, I think they charge you on arrival now as opposed to at the end of the grading process.
That makes more sense.
And again, it might be in response to stuff that happened like this. I'm sure they're not the only shop that dealt with this.
Well, I know back in the day when, I'm just kind of go off course here, but when X-Men #1 was coming out by Jim Lee, I used to do a lot of shows and stuff. And so there was a shop that I dealt with locally. And I think I ordered, I want to say like 30 copies of each cover, right? And they made me pay for them up front. They went out of business. And I was maybe, what was I, 18 at the time? That was a lot of money for me to be out that money. And I tracked the guy down at his new job. And he paid me. But yeah, I mean, I can, somewhat similar, somewhat applicable, but
yeah. So to these comments, so you guys say that, and I believe you, but also I know people have said that they got charged when the books first get scanned. And I think it may also be different depending on like the size of your account with CGC. If you're submitting like a certain dollar amount, maybe, or something, I don't know. I'd love to ask Matt Nelson about that. I believe he's going to come on the program at some point. We're going to talk about, probably not that specifically, because he kind of, he no commented me, which I totally understand. I'm sure legal was involved in that. And they may not be able to discuss a lot of the details of that. So I get it. But I can ask about some of this other stuff like this, because I am curious about it. Al Norris Comics says, if you filed a claim with CGC, your books are priority to be shipped, plus CGC gives you, so they are sending out emails to everybody that was affected, giving them $150 grading fee, which actually I think it's a premium membership too. And they're saying you're going to get priority. He's saying you're going to get priority. I'm not, until I see people getting their books, I'm not going to jump to any conclusions about what's actually happening there. I need to see it first.
Right.
Hey, what's up, Kamikaze? Nice to see you in here, man. You're up late hanging out. Love it. Love to see it. We're talking Hotshot Comics. So look, I am thrilled if everybody gets their books back, like I'm talking about. I'm thrilled. I mean, even I think most people, rather than be out their money, if they got a 9.6 instead of a 9.8, I think some of them are like 9.4s or 9.2s or whatever. If you got something, you'd probably be more happy than not. But part of the big problem here too is that, and let's be honest, this is an industry problem, but it's also specific to this situation. A lot of people pre-ordered a book because they expected the value of it to be higher when they get the book back. And in a lot of those cases, a lot of those, 9.8 of a brand new issue that came out 2 years ago is probably worth less than the grading fees at this point.
Right.
Not in every case. There's definitely exceptions to that. And also, it's not just people that did pre-orders with him. There is a lot of people that actually did do, like big boy books that they personally dropped off in store, or possibly even mailed into him, and supposedly he pressed some of them and all that kind of stuff too. So, yeah, I mean,
the value of some of those books too, you know, having missed out on the time frame
yeah.
of them being hot properties or whatever, and now they're, yeah.
And that's actually something. So the customer I interviewed that had the court case against him and won. Now it's being appealed. There's 7 or 10 books. I can't remember the exact number. He might have even been wrong about the number of books or something, or that's what Doug claims. Those books, it's funny. He made a post essentially mocking Brad, saying, "Here's your books that you said I stole or scammed you out of or whatever." And there's a couple things about that. If you know the scrutiny is on you and you were intending to scam by taking those books and you suddenly got them back, of course you could say that. You could say like, "Oh, here's your books. I told you they're right here." Also, they're very common books. I don't know that they're the actual books that person submitted, because he's saying that they're way lower grade than what Brad was saying. You know, a lot of them are like 6 to 7s instead of like 9.0 pluses for things like ASM 300. But also, he's talking about the value of those books. He's like, these books aren't worth what he's saying. Well, also, you're talking about prices now versus the prices a little more than 2 years ago for those books, which still made, Brad admitted on my interview, he's like, I just thought these books were cool. I knew they were worth something. I wanted to get them graded. He was not an expert. So when he filed the claim, he filed it for, I think, $10,000, which is probably too high. But he also filed it assuming that they'd be graded. He just kind of was looking at like 9.8 prices, I think, when he came up with that. I think he even mentioned that. It's just it's a weird thing. And look, if people get their books back, that's awesome. Like Al Noir was saying here, at least he's getting that CGC credit, which is nice. Yeah,
doesn't hurt, right?
Yeah, they'd like to get his pre-order backs for sure. Definitely won't be pre-ordering again. Yeah, and it's something that you saw with Hotshot / Asheville, Frankie's Comics, Slabbed Heroes, Comic Exposure, I think, is one that did that too. There's a few other businesses with this, especially the 9.8 pre-order thing, where this has happened, and it's really a concerning trend. There's a lot of people that are out money, and again, it's some of it's buyer beware, but I don't like that argument that like buyers need to just stop doing it, or they were dumb for doing 9.8 pre-orders. Like, well, even if it's not the smartest idea for an investment or whatever, or you're trying to flip it and you didn't make on your investment, you still deserve your stuff. You still deserve what you paid for.
You deserve to get what you paid for sure.
Yeah. So anyways, that's kind of the update on the situation. I'm not declaring victory for the people that get their books back just yet. I want to see it happen, and hopefully it does happen. But until then, I'm reserving judgment on it. And yeah, I mean, he can, as far as with the comment earlier about him talking smack about me, he can do that as much as he wants. Whatever, it's fine. I think it's crazy though. In one respect, like he's literally on these streams. If you go watch it, he's talking to me. He's like, "Oh, it's this conspiracy theory about me." Like, it's not a conspiracy theory to say like, "Where are my books? I don't have them after 2 years." And to form a group of like-minded people that are trying to figure out what's going on and trying to see if they can get something done about it. By the way, something got done about it. So for one reason or another, it actually worked. Whether he was going to do it or not, we don't know. But there could have been more updates, more transparency. He could have posted his proof of his payments to CGC. A lot of things could have happened that would have helped make this look more legitimate. That didn't happen. So definitely feel like we shined a light on it. And if nothing else, people are more aware about this for other shops and other situations going forward.
Yeah. There was a sports card shop in Portland that there was a fella that he would find nice young ladies that would be interested in a romantic relationship with him and put all of the bills in their name. And then when they finally got wise, he'd find another nice young lady.
Yeah. So there's, I mean, and I've used this terminology all along. Allegedly there are some situations like that going on. That's not too far off. from what we're talking about with this person, that like the funding seems to keep coming from women, and there's been a disturbing trend of kind of like treating women poorly from what I can gather online. And it is just one side of a story. It just happens to be multiple sides of a story. Right. But again, I gave him an opportunity to come on and talk about it. Yeah, exactly. But I did give him an opportunity to come on and talk about it. He even said like, oh, you're biased or whatever. And like, fine. I mean, if you think I'm biased about it, like I could name anybody and I'll get them on your show. I can contact anybody in the YouTube community that I'm sure anybody would want to talk to him about it. So I could have helped out with that. But, I also get that. It's funny. Some of the replies to him were like, you're not going to find a more like unbiased guy than Bronze to talk about this. Because I mean, really, like even in companies I criticize, I'll point out the things they did right. I'll point out reasons why they might have made those mistakes. A lot of people on YouTube don't do that.
It's good that you see both sides of it. You talk about both sides of it.
Try to.
Yeah.
All right. So, hey, we're kind of near the end of the show. I've been talking a lot about this Hotshot Comics thing. Thanks for listening to me talk about that. We will be doing a little collaboration in the future. We need to work on the logistics of that. And we'll be talking about that no phone shop. But in the meantime, I also want to shine a light on you a little bit here. You're a YouTuber in your own right. You make some great content, some cool shorts, some other long form content. You do great art, obviously, and I appreciate you doing that. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what you got going on your channel and where people can find you?
Big B McFly, the comic guy on YouTube. And if you guys want to sub me up, that'd be awesome. Watch my content. I need some watch hours. I got my 1,000 subscribers. I just still need more watch hours.
There you go.
I got some new content coming up. I just bought a little small collection. It had some early albedo in it, so that was interesting.
Ooh, nice.
Too bad it was after the show where Stan Sakai was at. But
the one time that I had time to go up and meet him, he wasn't at his booth. I think he was in a panel or on a break or something like that, and I was busy haggling on a ton of comics. There was actually you mentioned them to me, and I went back over to the RKFA booth.
That was a crazy booth. Did you talk about that on here?
A little bit, but as it turns out, do you know E-Man?
No.
Okay, so there's E-Man is a YouTuber too, and he's on a podcast called the C-List Villains podcast, and his co-host was one of the guys working that booth.
Oh, really?
So I saw that he was wearing a C-List Villains shirt, and we start talking to him. He calls up E-Man like on a video call right there at the booth. And I'm talking to E-Man at the booth. It was great. But yeah, I ended up getting. You told me that he had a Miss Marvel 18. So I actually went and got that.
Right. Nice.
I got Miss Marvel 1.
One of those.
I got a second printing Batman 423. I got like 22 Mark Jewelers G.I. Joes.
Nice.
So that was a crazy thing with that booth. Because they were literally like, as especially on, I think it was Sunday, I was talking to them. They were very, 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 very much like,
they were motivated.
We don't want to take any of this home.
They were motivated sellers.
Yes. And like, I think he was the guy, Lucas. I think he was a little high on the first price he gave me. But I gave him an offer about half that. And we ended up making a deal. He took out one book, which was a second printing first Dr. Aphra. They clearly wanted to move inventory. And this is a situation where it's like, I didn't feel bad because I know what they're trying to do. They know what they have.
He buys collections. He cherry picks out what he can flip right away. He takes all the other keys and stuff and takes them to shows like this. He's like, right now I'm in the green on all of this stuff. He's like, I just want to get rid of it and buy more collections.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it was a truly awesome experience pulling there and looking at stuff. I wish I'd spent more time there. As it turns out, maybe my wallet's happy I did spend more time there.
I told you about Travis when he went there. Travis, the guy, he had 248 books, and the guy goes, he flips through and he goes, and we didn't realize how many books he'd pulled. We just started making it. You guys just like make a stack. So we made a huge stack. Well, then the guy goes, "Oh, how about $200?" And Travis was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. I should probably thin that out." And the guy's just like, "Well, how much you got?" Travis is like, "I could probably spend $100." And the guy's like, "Deal." I was like, he's like, "And I'll throw in a free brand new short box." I was like, "What?"
Dude, it was great. So I was talking them up, and I actually got to do some more posts. I meant to do one a day for first appearance Friday, but I want to talk them up a little bit. Like if you're at a show and RKFA is there, go to the booth and check them out. Talk to them. They're awesome. Again, they know what they have, and they like Big B was saying, they know what they need to get out of it and what they want to get out of it. And hey, sometimes schlepping inventory around and storing it is worse than selling it, right? So.
Yeah.
I did just think of one thing. Do you want to stick around for one more minute?
Yeah.
Because
I'm here for as long as you are.
I do have an unboxing to do.
Sweet.
From Brazil.
Whoa, look at all that postage.
Yeah.
You can start collecting stamps too.
I should. I ordered some original art off eBay. There's a seller I follow on there that posts up. There's all those like great Brazilian artists. And it finally came. So I want to check it out.
Sweet.
And go to sleep, Katie. That's funny. I'm convinced that K-pop doesn't sleep. I'm convinced that CJ sleeps rarely, and I'm convinced that K-pop doesn't sleep.
There was that was one of the books that I used to sell in my store. It was a children's bedtime story book, and it was called "Go the Fuck to Sleep."
Yep. Yep. Morgan Freeman narrated the audiobook. We were given that when our daughter was still in the womb. We were given that book by a friend, and what? Our daughter was actually a great sleeper. What's that?
So they may have bought it from my shop.
Maybe. But yeah, it was really, 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 really funny. Our daughter was actually a really great sleeper for the most part. She had her moments, but got lucky. Oh, is it going to come out?
It was so quiet when I met her.
Yeah. Well, she was feeling down, and she was hungry. That's right. You met her. You're the only person in
the only person in the community that's met your daughter. There you go. I feel honored. I can show a piece of artwork while you're unboxing that.
Yeah, man, for sure. Please do. Here, let me see if I can
sketch for you.
I never remember which view it is. Nope, not that one.
That's you.
Not that one. Not that one. Is it this one? Yeah, we'll switch guys. There we go.
There we go.
6 times the charm. That's what they always say, right? Ooh, fighting on a skull. Was that a like a prompt thing, like for Halloween or something, or was it just kind of?
No, it was just like Travis and I get together and we just do drawing once or twice a month, and so that was just a sit down and sketch. I've shown these on other things before. Here's a Dr. Doom or Iron Man blasting the Hulk.
Nice.
Got the gauntlets on there blasting the Hulk.
For a second, I thought that was like Chamber, like exploding.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, styrofoam all over the place. Oh, they're talking about something else. Okay, I was like, what is that?
The between the lines drawing.
Oh, the Homelander action, America.
4th of July drawing.
Oh, there we go. Little anti-patriot. Are you a Boys fan?
Yeah, I love the Boys. Actually, I don't have Prime right now, so I can't watch Gen V.
I was just going to ask. I've heard really, really mixed reviews on it.
Yeah, there's Jean Grey becoming Phoenix.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a little more refined, but it's pretty sketchy right now. But
yeah, I like the pose. I like all that. I mean, I'm a booty cover guy, so I dig that.
Was it Alan called Alan the comic collector? He calls it headlights and taillights.
Headlights and taillights. Yeah, I'm definitely a taillight guy. I figure we have enough headlight covers out there that get all the love.
Here's a Halloween cover or Halloween one. There's a zombie.
Nice.
Got blood spurting out of his mouth, standing up from his victim.
I like it. Who's your favorite character to draw?
Boy, that's it used to be Wolverine back in the day, but I think I've matured a little bit since then. I don't mind drawing almost any character. I've a lot of. So can I talk about hashtag comic book shout out?
Yes, please.
Okay, so we have a thing going on. It's called hashtag comic book shout out, and the theory behind it is to make a YouTube video talking about a channel that you enjoy, and you can use the hashtag comic book shout out in the title, and we put you on a playlist. And then if you made a video this month, every month on the 15th, we do a drawing. And I do a drawing for one of the people who wins. And my friend Travis from Comics Limited also does a drawing for somebody who wins. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. So I've been getting a lot of requests for a lot of female characters. So I did the one for Alan, which was Zombie Tramp, Wonder Woman, and Vampirella. And
okay.
Then, Ricky from All Sorts of Words had Vampirella. He's a big dog lover, and he wanted Vampirella to have a doggy. So yeah, I drew a Vampirella with her pet dog, which he's like he counts that as the first appearance now.
Oh, nice.
So
all right.
Actually, a lot of the drawings that I've done for the hashtag comic book shout out are on the video that we did for shouting out Jen's channel. So.
Oh, nice. Right on. Sounds like K-pop's going to be on Between the Lines on Monday. That's awesome. Theme is non-Batman.
Non-Batman.
Oh, non-Batman. Okay. So a lot of Edward Scissorhands and Jack Skellington, I predict.
I was going to say, Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah.
Frankenweenie. There we go. Let's do Frankenweenie.
Frankenweenie. All right. I'm going to show off. I finally got to the meat and potatoes here.
All right.
Thanks for showing off some of your art, man.
Yeah, I figured I'd fill the air for you.
All right, so the first one, this is from an artist named, this is Portuguese, and I'm probably going to pronounce it a little more Spanish, so I'm probably wrong. Christian Alves. I hope I am close on that. And most of these, I'm not familiar with any of these artists. There's a lot of artists down there that are doing good work. This is a Jubilee.
Oh, nice.
Little booty cover, and he did a pretty full figure there.
Yeah,
good one. And let's see. Oh yeah, these are all good. Let's see. The artist on this one is Paulos Baragi, which I have a Savage Land Rogue that I got the last time I did this order. This is Power Girl.
Oh, nice. Showing off her finest assets there.
Yeah, I mean, definitely a little cheesecakey, but I mean, it's Power Girl, so that's a really good one. This one, the artist was Lely, Lelly, Lely, and it's a really good Harley Quinn piece.
Oh, nice. I like it.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
And I'll save that one for last because this is the most colorful. It's probably gonna get the most right. This was actually the one I started, like, because all the auctions ended like in the same 6-hour period, and this is the one I found, and I started following it. And the shipping, it's like $30 to get it shipped from Brazil. So if you get multiples, they charge you like extra $1 per item or whatever. So it's worth it if you get a few.
What did they run you most of those for the auctions?
The most I paid for any of these was $20.
That's not bad.
The cheapest one was $10. 2 of them were $10. 3 of them were $10.
Wow.
So yeah.
That's great.
I feel bad for the artist in a lot of ways that the auctions, but they were auctions, but this is the one that got me going. It's a magic piece by Keber Santos.
Liliana.
Yeah. Really nice work. Yeah, that's totally my style. Little Finch-esque maybe.
Yeah. Oh, I love David Finch.
Yeah. And then this one's probably the one's going to show up best on camera. The artist here is Thiago Freire, Freire. And it is a beautifully colored Psylocke piece.
Oh, nice.
Very vibrant.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a really nice, I probably, I'm going to guess one or two of these, and maybe one of the ones I got before is going to end up in the Heroes for Heroes auction. Probably. I got to decide which ones, now that I have them in hand, which ones I like the most, but for my personal collection, but I
didn't know
it.
you collected original artwork.
So the very first, I have depending on how you categorize original art. Let's get the normal view back here. I had the very first thing I bought was a remark by Ryan Brown on a Last Ronin. If you call that original art, that's the very first thing I got. And then I've always been interested in getting pages or covers, not really so much sketches, but I stumbled on a Facebook account that was like, hey, I have some of my art up for sale or whatever. I think it was a suggested post on eBay. And that's where I found this seller. And I just followed them. And eventually I found like they had some stuff in it. I was like, man, this is going dirt cheap. And there was a Savage Land Rogue piece and a red Monica from Battle Chasers piece that was colored a little bit like it was beautifully colored like the Psylocke piece. I was like, man, colored art is like $10, $30 for shipping, but I'm buying two, so that kind of balances out the shipping. It's still dirt cheap. And then I've kind of been following them, and then these came up, and I was like, yeah, I definitely would be down for that. I don't really want to buy a ton of this stuff, especially once it starts to get more expensive. And some of the really really nice stuff is expensive by established artists, of course, that kind of stuff. But I could easily see some of these people, 1 in 100 of them is probably going to become a published artist someday and do some good work, or they're going to get their break, and then hey, you got a piece from them. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, and
just for the love of the art too. But it is kind of neat. It's funny. I look at some of the art, and from various artists, some of it it's not very good. Some of it's amazing. And you're like, why are you not doing like covers for Dynamite or somebody like that? Like I could totally see it. Like there's a lot of great like Vampirellas and all kinds of things, and you're just like, why are you not? What's stopping you? So
sometimes it's the right connections, or they don't know how to go about it.
Yeah. So the thing I do, and for whatever bit it helps is, I call out their names on here, of course, and I'll post it like on my Instagram, and some of them, they're getting some exposure from that, which is nice, and maybe it'll help them. So,
I was curious, how many people do we get for Jen for the piece that we raffled off?
So the average donation was about $20, and I want to say there was about 6 donations total. Only three wanted to be included in the drawing.
Oh, okay.
And then I think it was 3 or 4 wanted to be anonymous. So we probably raised about $100 or so, which is pretty cool.
Everything helps, right?
Yeah, everything helps. And then, maybe some people will see this on the rewind, and the link is in the description, and maybe they'll want to donate as well. Of course, I'm going to keep talking about it when I can, where I can. We talked about it on Devil's Advocates last Monday over on the EXP. Trying to get the word out. So however we can. But it was really awesome that you did that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, if you want to do another one later on, let me know. We can do another one.
Yep. And then I just will take this opportunity to replug Heroes for Heroes, which is coming up, and you donated that piece. I can officially put the little banner up there too. I forgot I have that, but there we go. Shout out to the person who made the logo. Their link is in the description below as well. They did it for me for free, which was very nice of them. Because now I can just, get iterative years for every following one. It's a lot better than the one I made last year. We're gonna have
very G.I. Joe-esque.
Yeah, I thought it was appropriate to be, a bit patriotic. Like the general idea of the lettering and using the G.I. Joe font was what I used. last year, but it was a lot less clean. They cleaned it up a lot. They gave it kind of that little title card kind of thing, and the little dog tag style year, which is really nice. I like that. So, but yeah. Oh, my alarm's going off. There we go.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we, yeah, sure, man. Man, woman, I'll show the magic piece for you again. Just want to make sure there wasn't any other things I missed in there. There we go.
Super nice.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the one that caught my eye, and I just kind of had to have it. And then the second one that was, I mean, I'm a big Power Girl fan, so that one, and I have this guy, Paulo Sabragi, I have his Savage Land Rogue that he did a good job on. That his style is very Ed Benes to me. And I'm a big fan of Ed Benes, so
it's super clean.
Show them all.
I like it.
Jubilee's probably my least favorite, but I did like the fact that it was a booty style one, which works for me. Oh, interesting. The little cross hatching is like wigging out my camera there. I thought there was something on it, like a piece of styrofoam. And then there's the Harley Quinn again. And last but not least, Psylocke.
I'll have to digitally color that Batman one that I gave you.
Did you scan it?
Yeah, I took a picture of it. That'll work well enough, and I can.
Okay.
I can clean it up and make those batarangs glowing green.
Oh yeah, that's the. I gotta fix the light metering on my camera, but it's kind of making everything really dark when I try to show you detail up close. There's the Superman. So yeah, the idea was that those batarangs are kryptonite, right?
Yeah.
That's cool. Man, he just did such a good job on this.
Oh, thanks.
I mean, I love it.
The theme for that was homage, a cover with characters from a different universe. So that's why it's got the Hulk logo in the back. It's Hulk 340.
Right.
So.
Oh, I don't like the zoomed
Thanks,
in.
Kelly. Thanks, Sleepy Reader.
Yeah, it's really good. Oh, hey, we got Sleepy Reader in the house. What's up, man? Okay, cool. Well, I think that pretty much concludes the show. We had our prize winner for the Shazam sketch that Bigby did, which is awesome. We got some money donated for Jen, which is even better. We had our prize winner. We talked about the whole Coffin Comics versus Melinda's Comics thing. We talked about Rob Liefeld claiming he's the best there is at what he does, which I don't agree with. But hey, that's fine.
Beg to differ.
Yeah. Art is subjective. And we updated everybody about Hotshot, and we teased the video that Bigby and I are going to do to kind of reinforce and maybe reveal where that comic shop is at. And
I think we should kind of like empower collectors too, and just say, don't put up with that kind of crap. But
yeah. And man, the final thing I'll say about that, because we wouldn't really probably talk about it in the video, is I've struggled. I think I told you this when we talked about it the first night. I've struggled about whether or not I want to go back in there and talk to him, because I kind of want to talk to him. But then you sharing your story, at first I thought maybe he was just singling me out or something like that because of whatever. I don't know.
I'm afraid to go. Well, maybe now that some time's passed, but after the last time I went in there, I was afraid to go back in because, okay, I'm going to tease it a little bit more, but with what I did the last time I went in there, he had a bunch of customers in, so he couldn't make a scene. And he leaned across the counter and whispered in my ear, "I know you're effing ripping me off. And I'm going to charge you 15 cents for every book here for the bag and board." And I was like, I'm not coming back. He's going to hurt me the next time he sees me.
The baller move there would have been like, charge me 30 cents per bag.
Well, on that visit was when I found that silk, the first appearance of silk for cover price. So I was just like, whatever.
The guy, he is so So strange, and it's really bittersweet for me just having known him for so long. Like, I knew him when his dad ran the shop, and he was just the young kid, helping out. His dad was a sports card guy, primarily, and I mean, I bought my Death of Superman from him. When that came out, I waited in line, going around the block, and now, granted, there was another comic book shop in that town that I loved. A lot of people had an issue with that owner too, I guess, but he was always great to me. Unfortunately, it closed down a long time ago, and then he was kind of the only shop in town at that point. But I mean, like, gosh, I was an honest, regular customer. I who knows how much money I spent there over 30 years.
Right.
It's just weird. And again, yeah, I admit I took a couple breaks, couple years at a time, but I wasn't living in the area. And I'm sorry, I always picked up my pull list, and I think I was a good customer. I always tried to work with him on, that's the other thing. He never was open when I would make the drive to that shop, because I lived farther away for a while, and I would come down here. He was supposed to be open. He was never open.
Yeah. Posted hours, not the hours.
It's such a deal. It's such a whole thing. I can't wait to talk more about it.
Oh, for sure. There's so many positive things to say.
Oh, man. All right. So we're going to talk about that later.
Are you going to Frankenstein?
When is it again?
Tomorrow.
No, I'm not going then. No.
I mean, it is a really hefty price tag to get in. $5 if you want to be early bird at 11, or $1.
Was it at Lloyd Center last year? Is that where it's at this year?
It's at Lloyd Center again this year, yeah.
Okay. No, I don't think I want to put that kind of stress on my car again. I ended up having some issues after Rose City Comic Con that I'm gonna need to get fixed.
With your carpool?
Yeah, no, that's true. But well, I mean, if I had memorized that it was coming up and made arrangements that I could be free tomorrow.
It's kind of this last minute. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, oh, hey.
The reason I'm doing this stream primarily is because my daughter's over at my parents' house spending the night, but I needed to pick her up tomorrow, and I don't want to take her to that would be a nightmare.
No.
I mean, like, she'd be great for 20 minutes, and then it would be then it'd be like, well, Daddy's looking at comic books, and I want to watch Paw Patrol.
I have not been to I haven't been to a Frankenstein yet, so I hear good things. But
oh, it's quarterly. I thought it was annual. Okay.
Yeah, Dan's X-Men comics is an IG channel, but he wants me to go with him, so I'm seriously considering.
He's a good dude. Yeah, I met up with him at Rose City a couple of years ago and met him. He wanted to meet me and talk to me about some stuff, and I was like, yeah, sure, absolutely. He was a super nice guy. We've talked several times since then. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he seems super nice.
Yeah.
He and I are on the same wavelength about a lot of stuff, or we chatted actually this evening about quite a bit of stuff.
Oh,
I had a really good so you had your G.I. Joe story. So right when I got back into collecting comics, I went to well, I'm just going to name a city. I went to well, no, I don't want to name a city. Okay. I went to an antique store off the I-5 corridor, and actually to this whole the city is lined with antique stores, and I had this.
I know where it is.
I had this spider sense tingling that there was going to be comics, right? So I walk the city, no comics, every place I go. And as I'm walking back to my car, there's a gentleman in the back of a pickup truck piling through long boxes of comics. And I'm like, wow, this is really weird, because I had this, spider sense there was going to be comics here. And he said, you can look when I'm done. And I was like, whoa. He goes, they belong to the lady inside. Well, so this store had been closed when I came to town, and so I went inside, and he says, yeah, he's real particular that he wants to be the first to go through everything. So I went out and she was like, you can just wait. So I went and I watched, and he's like, there's like boxes of stuff that he's just checking to the side and everything. And as I watched as he's checking out, he's getting all of this Silver Age stuff for like $1 a book or thereabouts. I was like, oh my gosh.
Wow.
And she's like, well, you're welcome to look. I know he probably got a lot of stuff you would have been interested in. And so I go out and there's a postal box that he had chucked to the side, like, one of those square boxes. I open it up, and the first book is G.I. Joe number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6. So I go walk back in. I go, so just so things don't get out of hand, what are we talking about? She goes, oh, like $1 a book or less. And I was like, oh, okay. And I go, well, I'm really excited because I used to collect G.I. Joe as a kid, and there's a box of G.I. Joe out there. And so, it's pretty neat. And she goes, oh, God, those G.I. Joe comics, I've had those forever. She's like, you can have the whole box for $20. And I'm like, okay. So I walk back outside, and I'm flipping through, and I'm like, 19, 20, 21.
Nice.
I think it was like 60 issues of G.I. Joe for $20.
Wow. And was it like 3 through 60 basically?
Yeah.
Yeah, so there's some other nice ones in there too.
63. Yeah, there's some good stuff.
Yeah, Snake Eyes and First Zartan and First
Origin of Snake Eyes is what got me into collecting comics.
Oh, nice.
I saw that on a spinner rack in a 7-Eleven. I was like, oh.
Yeah, G.I. Joe's what got me into collecting comics. My dad was a forester for a large company that I'm sure you know. And he would drive around, doing land management stuff. And he'd stop in small little towns he had to drive through if they had comics for sale, and he'd pick up just whatever G.I. Joe issues they had. And talk about the having a list of comics you're looking for. Like we had like this is in the late 80s, early 90s. We had a spreadsheet printed off from his work computer, like terrible quality, like little check boxes of which ones you need, right? Like just the numbers of them. And he'd carry that around and grab them for me, and that's how I read G.I. Joe. And it's just, I mean, this is back in the day when like G.I. Joe 2 was like the craziest thing you could find, right? Like everybody wanted G.I. Joe 2. No, people, I mean, G.I. Joe 1 was fine, but like people really were nuts for 2.
Supposedly low print run, hard to find book.
Yeah.
So I remember I went to a show and I had a number 2 I had found at like a garage sale. It had been like wadded up into a ball at one point and then flattened out. And I had it up on the wall, and somebody's like, that's a great price. And I was like, it's in terrible condition. I'm like, and the guy just kept going on and on about what a great price. I said, I can guarantee you won't find another one in that condition for that price.
That's funny. That is one of those things that's true about G.I. Joe comics is a lot of them tend to be pretty beat up. It was, kind of a kid's comic for the most part.
Well loved, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of soldiers would pick it up and they'd, carry it around on deployment or whatever, or it'd travel with them. A lot of that kind of stuff happening with it. But man, so many good memories reading G.I. Joe. It's just such a good series. I have number 2. I have a copy from my childhood, but I also found one of those like 3-packs.
Oh yeah.
Where it's in there, and it's like the front comic showing, and I think it's like a second printing of G.I. Joe 26 and 27 that are in there too, or something. Cool. Yeah, so that was kind of fun. I mean, it's not in amazing shape, but it's still in a sealed 3-pack, which is, I think that's cool.
So somebody at a shop up in Seattle, they came across like a long box of those 3-packs, still sealed, a bunch of stuff, and I was like, those things still exist? I mean, that is crazy.
It's just like when you hear about people finding like a pallet of Hulk 181s, that never got distributed or whatever in a warehouse somewhere.
Well, I found one of those the other day. I mean,
yeah, they're all over the place. But I mean, that's a story that goes around, or there was a pallet of Mark Jewelers or something that got found of various issues or something like that. And
it's like this kid that I ran into. So there's a card shop up here that they don't deal in comics, and so anytime anybody brings in comics, they call me. And this kid, he was like in his early 20s, but it was all stuff that was unbagged, unboarded for the most part, but then he just happened to have Albedo number 3.
Wow.
And he knew what it was worth.
Yeah.
So we haggled on the price of everything else based on that. So, but
Oh, that's cool.
Cool little stack of books.
Making those connections, it's really awesome. I mean, it's the first time.
Sent me a text today. They said another guy brought in books. He's got slabs this time. I was like, okay.
I'll be there in 20 minutes now.
No, I just worked a 16-hour shift and just got home, and they're like, yeah, we'll text you some pictures. And it was like, what's the McFarlane issue of Spider-Man with Sabretooth on the cover, assassination plot? Like a 9.2 of that, and then another. And I'm like, I looked at the pictures and I called him back and said, do I need to be there right now? They go, no, he's dropping the stuff off. You can come in tomorrow.
Nice. Nice. What are you talking about, John? Travis doesn't.
You're talking about Bueller?
I think
Bueller's
so.
Carrying somebody upstairs.
I was surprised he's doing that. I mean, John, maybe he would carry you. You're carryable. I think
they're talking about Bullseye Bob.
Oh, Bullseye Bob. Okay.
Which carrying him up some stairs would not be an easy task, I would assume.
No, he's not a small man in either dimension, really.
Neither is, I mean, Bueller's a big burly guy, but
they're kind of similar size. I mean, yeah, those warehouse fights, they absolutely do exist, 100%.
That's insane. I can't even imagine finding. That was kind of the weird thing with this guy that had the albedo. He had like 8 and 9 copies of the same book of a lot of things. I was like, why do you have so many copies? I mean, they were mostly Superboy from the 90s and stuff. But I was like, why do you have all of this stuff? And it's just kind of like random multiple copies.
Yeah, I appreciate you watching on the Rewind. Awesome sauce. Definitely check out the rest of the stream if you want to hear about the Melinda's Comics thing and all that stuff. Appreciate being here, man. Hope you're having a good night. Well, I think on that note, unless you got anything else you want to talk about, probably wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I appreciate you having me on and pimping me and my channel and my art and getting some money for Jen. That's awesome. So
yeah, you did a good thing, man. I feel like you deserve to come on and have a chance to talk about it. And I think you have a really cool story and a really cool background. So I definitely wanted to talk to you about that at least at some point, and hopefully more later.
I have all kinds of crazy comic book stories, so
that's what I love. I love that kind of stuff. Like reminds me
Tales from the Comic Shop kind of a show where we talk about crazy stuff that's I chased a guy through a snowstorm and got in a fist fight in front of a corrections facility because he stole from my store.
Oh, damn. Well, apparently, by the way, just to update everybody, apparently it was Bueller carrying his other friend Bob.
A different friend Bob. Okay.
It's a different Bob. I hope for Bueller's back it was a small Bob. My back was just
so the chasing the guy through the snowstorm. I mean, I've always been kind of a big guy. I'm chasing this guy and we're going up a hill. And the guy's maybe like, I'd say like maybe 10, 15 paces ahead of me. And we're both huffing and puffing going up this hill. He leans over his shoulder. He says, "Jess, go back and tell your boss I got away." And I look at the guy and I go, "I got bad news for you. I am the boss."
Oh my god, man, that's so great. That's like the epitome of a real comic book collector story right there.
Right, it's hilarious.
I feel like it's an episode of The Simpsons waiting to happen.
Yeah.
Well, first, I'm sorry somebody ripped you off. I mean, that's the real point of the story.
It was the guy came in. He goes, "Well, my story said we split level. I'm at the counter working on my diamond order. My manager is in a little cage area. We used to have like anime DVDs and videos you could rent. He's back in there in the little office area working. The guy goes over to our role-playing book area, and he immediately goes in a beeline upstairs to the back issue room. And so I kind of lean through the door and look at him. He's up there just looking at things. And then he comes down the stairs and he goes to the front door and he goes, well, thanks for letting me look around, guys. Have a great day. And when he raises his arm up to wave and say, have a great day, his shirt comes up and he has a player's handbook, a Dungeon Master's Guide, and a monster manual shoved down the front of his pants. And I go, hey. And he goes, I'm outside. Nothing you can do about it now. And he just starts walking. And I'm like, well, hell, there's nothing I can do about it right now.
I like it. That's the rule. Everybody knows that.
Once you've made it outside, right?
It's like, Ollie Ollie Oxenfree or something like that, right?
This guy was, I mean, okay, how long ago it was? He was carrying, when he came in, he was carrying a bag with Blockbuster videos in it and a pint of peach schnapps.
Well, I mean, you did run a shop in Oregon, so this could have been last week for all we know. There's still a Blockbuster there.
It was Vancouver, but
okay.
It was, and when the police were taking him away, he says something like, he goes, this guy, he's like, I'm like a level 36 rogue, and you're just like a shopkeep. This guy is crazy.
Did he like turn and go magic missile?
Right? Yeah, it was crazy.
No, those are most definitely not Pacific Northwest rules.
Yeah, once you make it out the door, you're good.
I mean, there's some retail chains where like the loss prevention guys won't chase you outside the door or whatever. Like, no, I'm not like an ex-shoplifter. I used to work in retail. But yeah, I mean, there's some stuff like that. It just sounds like one of those like misconceptions that people believe or whatever about what could happen to you.
Awesome sauce. So yeah. We make it up the hill, and there's the path we're on jogs around a little corner where he goes out of my sight for a second. And so I come up around the corner and it's snowing, so I can see his footprints. And they go inside this little alcove of this building where it has like a little area where you can't see. And I can see his breath coming out. Like, and I'm like, I know you're in there. I go, just give me my books back and I'll let you go. I'll turn around. I won't watch what way you go. Just give me my books. And he goes, for real? And I go, yeah. And so he comes out. He's got the books in his hand and he's going to hand them to me. And at the last second, he throws them down and starts coming at me. And so we just brawled right there on the spot. And we're in the snow. I finally get the guy pinned down. And there's like this work release crew there. And I'm like, hey, do any of you guys have a cell phone? Somebody call the cops. This guy's a shoplifter. And, and this one guy comes walking over. He's like, we're a work release crew. You're going to get us in trouble, dude. And he like pulls me up. And the guy gets up, knees me in the chin as he gets up. And we're rolling again. And we're right there. And like the guy has a hold of my flannel, fist back. I got my fist back. And about that time, 2 cop cars pull up. Freeze! We're both like fist back, ready to punch each other.
It was about ready to be like the nerdy, like comic book reader version of the double punch from Death of Superman.
Right, yeah. So,
oh man,
well, like, who's the bad guy? And I'm like, he is.
It's obviously him. So as you're telling the story about his footprints and the breath, I just want to be like, well, if you were really a level 36 rogue, you would have equipped your cloak that covers your footprints as you walk.
Right. And had some way to stealthily cover your breath.
Yeah. If only there was some way to do that. That's so funny. So did the books get ruined when they fell in the snow?
Shopkeep. What's that?
Did the books get ruined when they fell in the snow?
Oh, yeah. He totally, when he threw them down, they landed corner first and just accordioned all the corners of the books. And yeah. So It was bad.
Broomstick? You need to have a boomstick. No, I'm just kidding. I don't want to shoot somebody over $50 the books, but I mean, you never know if you're that person. You should be prepared for that. Jeez, man. So in that situation, like, do you like, since he got caught by the police, do you end up getting anything back from that? Like,
I was in touch with them. They banned, they put a what do you call it?
A trespass.
Criminal trespass. Yeah, no, not allowing him to come back. But yeah, I didn't get any kind of recompense or anything. So.
Oh man.
It was, and boy, my wife was so mad at me at the time because we just had a baby, and she's like, "What if he freaking killed you?"
Yeah,
like, we're talking. It's like what, like $50 worth of books, and I'm like, "Yeah, but it's $50 worth of books, baby."
she got a point. I mean, I respect her opinion on that. I mean, your life's more valuable, and being around for your kiddo is more valuable. But I mean, in the heat of the moment, sometimes
right.
You're just thinking about. I mean, you're a victim, for one thing.
You do stupid things.
Yeah. You should have been like, well, he was only a level 36 rogue, and I'm clearly a level 42 warrior.
I'm a level 42 shopkeep.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Well, you guys should tune in next time that Big B comes on the channel, because we'll have more stories like that one.
Oh, for sure. Crazy stuff.
Oh, that's great. All right. Well, we're past the 3 hour. We're almost at 3.5 hours. I'm gonna call it an evening. Thanks for joining the show, everybody. Thanks for being here, Big B. That was awesome. Check out Big B. I'll probably try to add your details in the description for below for people that are watching on the rewind. But you can go find him on Instagram. You can find him on YouTube. Thanks for being here every night. Thanks for being here, everybody, tonight. Have a great night, and we'll catch you in the next one. Later, everybody.
Thanks.